Welcome to another episode of your favorite podcast that releases once a decade.
Not once a decade.
Once as needed. The Bible released once. We've been using it ever since. So, welcome to A Product of Proverbs. This is your host, Joshua Fowler, joined by your host,
Roy Fowler.
And we're here to share our life lessons and wisdom that we've gained from this journey using the book of Proverbs as a North Star, but also using what we've gone through in real life as the actual footsteps in the sand that you can follow to reach the promised land. So we're going to get ready and kick off.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Okay, that's actually a perfect transition. We're about to get to debunking sayings because that's the first one. If you ain't first, you're last. What is that?
That ain't nothing because you can be next, second, however you want to look at it, third, somewhere down the line.
And we quote that from Talladega Nights all the time, but there's a follow-up scene in which his dad comes back. He says, "What do you mean, Ricky?" He said, "I was drunk, Ricky. You can be second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. You can be seventh. You can be anything." There's another saying, debunk. What's our other saying, Leroy?
The way you do anything is the way you do everything.
No, it's not.
That is not true.
You can do something better than you do something else. You can give more effort in one thing and give less effort in another thing.
Exactly.
Who came up with that saying?
I don't know who came up with that. I just heard y'all saying it.
What's the other saying? My favorite one is perception is reality.
No, it's not. Perception is not reality.
How did they get away with saying one word is another word and not the word it is?
Because, see, a lot of times people say things with so much confidence and you just feel like it's right because, the way they say it seem like it's right. But yeah, I heard y'all say that. And I said, well, no, it's not. The way you do anything is the way you do everything is not true.
I got to file a yo fault claim on that one. That's all Daniel. Daniel has been saying that for years. I don't know who told him that. That's the only person I've ever heard say that, and I've been quoting it religiously, and it's just been as wrong as can be.
He probably got it from one of those coaches. I'm sure that's where it came from.
So coach is just lying.
I guess to get them to work hard in every area they wanted them to.
Not lying to him, but I guess whatever motivates and motivates. Maybe that's a good transition into one of the topics. Speaking of coaches and wanting people to do the right thing and maybe step up in areas that they want to cut corners in, think about your motivation for things and think about the effort you give and the level of effort and how the level of effort should and usually relates to the quality of outcome. But then other times you have a high level of effort, but you don't really get the same outcome that you expect. What would be some advice to give to people when you think about do your best at all times, do your best whenever you can, as opposed to people that might save some energy or people that might cut back or pull back because they don't want to give 1,000% knowing they're not going to get 10,000% back?
I don't know, because you don't always give all you've got to everything that you do, because you really are limited in your resources, right? You've got to decide a priority and what's important. And sometimes it takes the most effort and energy to arrive at those places. And I think a lot of times that's how it goes. But that's something you've got to determine in your own mind and in your own heart and your own life.
I wonder, because what's the point of doing it if you ain't going to give all you got or all you can? If you know you don't have the capacity to do stuff, why are you going to do it kinda? Or do it and give 1% when there's somebody else that could do it and give all? Would it be better if everybody gave their all to something they're passionate about, something they wanted to see improve or grow, and then, left the other stuff to people that could give their all to that?
I don't really know how, in what arena we're talking, because sometimes in life, and not just sometimes, but all the time, there's a whole. And the whole don't always make up the same amount of pieces, right? The same size pieces to that whole. And I think that's one way to look at it, because some things that you will do that won't take the effort to accomplish the outcome than other things will. Yeah.
And I think about time management and how people have so many things. It's funny, like you said, priorities. But I think it was maybe Pastor V in a Bible study. I listen to so much stuff. I don't know where everything comes from. But originally the word was priority. Priorities or multiple or the plural form of priority wasn't even a thing before like the 20th century, because it was what is the priority? What is the number one thing? And yeah, you can have a bunch of number ones and a bunch of number twos, but realistically, there's only one number one priority. So then time management says that you list out your priorities and you know that number one must get done, and you have to plug. You have effort, you have time, you have like the capacity, but then you have what needs to be done, and you have to be pretty intentional about making those all come together, making those work together. Or you just keep kind of floating around. Remember, like you said the other day about the to-do list. You make a list of what you need to do, and then you kind of track your progress on it. Or if you don't have a to-do list, then you might miss out on something that you said was a priority, but then got busy working on lower priority things and missed out on the high priority item.
Yeah, I think you have to decide what's priority, and if we're not careful, we can make the wrong thing priority. I think in the beginning it was probably survival, and you did what you had to do to survive. But I think as time has gone, where we've gotten more creature comforts and more time, more money, then there's a whole lot more things that creep into that, that takes up those spaces. And now you got to decide and think. I wonder how much of the things we place priority on are really priority. I think that's where I've come to in these years I've been living. I realized that most things that I felt was so important early on, as I get older, they lose that place of importance, and they're changed with other things. So I think that's a place that you grow into. But what has happened with people now, because you have so much so early, that you're bombarded with a lot of opportunities and different things that you can navigate that you didn't have in past years, past economies, and just the past days. I think that's one of the things now, because I think even as a young person, as a kid and as a young adult, didn't have nearly the things in my face like I see the young people with today.
But then you got to think about what all is actually available to you, what all is reasonably or realistically accessible, what's in your face versus what you can see on a screen, whether it be TV or movie or cell phone or social media, versus what really happens. Like, I think about the fact that Mom was telling me that Autry Middle School has a programming and computer class now. They have a computer lab where kids are learning to code and program, but Bill Gates had that available to him when he was in middle school. So you can say, I get on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and I see kids have companies where they're coding and kids are making their own things, and even young adults are making all this money from computer science. But in reality, you didn't have access to a computer powerful enough, or internet, or a teacher, or all of the resources to actually learn to program until that lab opened up in 2024 at your school. So what's the balance between what's really available and what seems like it's available?
Well, I think, too, that everything is not available to everybody. And that's just the reality. And even if it was, everybody don't have the gift or the capacity to do everything. You just can't do anything you want to do. That's another one. You just can't be anything you want to be. You have limitations. Some people are really smart in math. Some people arts. Some people different things. Everybody have different talents and gifts and abilities. And those are the things we really need to focus in on. One of the things we probably need to do with our young people, help them to focus and maximize their giftedness. And I think when you mention media and all this open up, people see all this stuff and they say that can be them, but really it can't be them. Everybody can't be a Bill Gates, Steve Jobs. You can't. And that's just the reality of life. We're not built with, we're equal in the fact that we're all human, but you have geniuses, and then you have people that, can barely navigate. But that's just the way it is. It's not by any choice of your own. Some people have real high IQs. Some people don't.
What you want to call them, Leroy?
I'm not calling them nothing.
What you want to call them, Leroy?
I just said what they are. They just don't have the capacity that others have.
What's some of the other sayings that they used to say? They used to say they're not the brightest crayon in the box.
Yeah, they're not the sharpest knife in the drawer. I don't know if I can say that in this day and age.
Their elevator doesn't go all the way to the top floor.
They're a knife, just not a steak knife. They might be a butter knife.
They cut something.
Yeah.
Man, you can say whatever, because I was thinking about that, and that's something I've learned. Yeah, you can be canceled. You can always be canceled. Anyone can be canceled. But realistically, how cancelable are most people? And what cancellations really, really stick and have that type of power? What mob of people are going to go and make something happen against you? Why do they have the free time and resources to do that to you as one person? One of I think the youth pastor at the church was like, everyone's like, I got haters, I got ops. They don't know you. They don't know you. They're not thinking about you. I think about, because I haven't been on social media in a while, and it's like, who would be hating on you if you was on social media? And who's hating on you with you not being on social media? The same amount of people. They weren't hating on you then, they're not hating on you now. They don't think about you. Who's the hater in life, and what can they do to actually impact you if you don't think about, acknowledge, talk to, or give them any power?
And that's something that we as regular people, you hear that all the time. We all have haters. And what? What does that even mean? People don't like you? I mean, what does it mean? What are they going to do? I mean, how is it going to affect you anyway? It's not. One of the things I've come to learn is we give people too much power in our lives. They shouldn't have that kind of power over us. And you'll find that you spend a lot of energy and effort to be in an environment of popularity and to be liked. And at the end of the day, the people that like you, gonna like you. And the people that don't, they're not.
There is nothing you can do to make somebody magically like you that don't like you for no reason.
Right.
If they don't like you for no reason, there's no reason you can give them to like you. And that's interesting that you brought up power and popularity, because I think about power, and I think a lot of times is people that live with so many things having power over them seek power over other things. So if you live and this has power over you, at any chance you can to have some power, you do that. So you're going to, in a very minor scale thing, try to find some power when it's really not a power dynamic in the first place. The church don't have power over you. Your family, your job doesn't have power over you. You see it that way. If you can escape looking at life from a power dynamic perspective, then power dynamics aren't as negative or impactful or abrasive to you, because they don't really exist. It's just kind of the transfer of energy. Some people have more energy to give to something than others. You cared more. You just care more in that instance. It don't mean that you're more powerful to them. You just cared more to do something. And in the grand scheme, now imagine you want to care about things that matter. Care more about things that matter more long term and less about things that don't matter 10 minutes after it happened. But you got to get out of power mind for that. I wonder what puts people in power mind, because the dynamic is always there if you want to subscribe to it. But what makes you subscribe to it and not just kind of whatever it? What makes you really go hard for it?
I don't know, because
You never subscribed to it?
I never dealt with, I felt like that. I understand that different people have different positions, and there's a level of authority that's just naturally in the scheme of life and in society. And there's nothing bad or, you're not less than or worse than because you don't have that place of authority. I think that's what it is. We've come to feel inferior in a lot of areas. I think that's the problem. People don't have, they have no self-esteem.
I think that comes back to that access to, and thinking you have access to all of these things that you should do, should have, and then you don't have them. Well, you shouldn't have them. I mean, that's, I forgot which therapist said it, but should isn't a reality word. Should doesn't exist. What you say should happen, how someone should have acted, what you should have received or should have done, never actually exist. It never existed. It will never exist. It's like that's a fictional fantasy world word. And so if you think about it like that, you probably can't throw too many shoulds on things and then get hurt when it don't happen, because who ever said that was going to happen?
But you do. And the reason you do is because of perception. Perception becomes your reality. But it's not real.
But it can be.
It affects you in a way.
Like it's real.
Reality would. And if you can ever break through that, like you said, the should, if you never understand that that's just perception, that's not reality. You know, most people get angry, get their feelings hurt, or misunderstand, or get misunderstood based on perception, but that becomes their reality because emotionally it affects them the same way.
Why can't they engage with reality more and dwell in their perception less? Because if someone says something to hurt your feelings, reality could be that they didn't mean it that way. Reality could be they didn't even say that. You heard that they said that from somebody that's told you what they heard them say. If you engage with reality, you go ask them, you address it. Hey, I heard this. Did you say this? Yes, no. Oh, if so, it hurt my feelings. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it in that way. Or, yeah, it hurt your feelings. Good. That's what I wanted to do. And then you move on with it.
And that's reality.
That's reality. That's how you live in and with reality. But what most people do is they just dwell in perception and never get a truth.
It's easier.
Yeah, I guess most people do the easier things.
It's easier to do that than to face the truth and be willing to. It takes courage. And some people see that as being inferior to, like, I'm not going to give in. I'm not going to ask them that. Like, it's a bad thing, but it's the right thing to get understanding. And all you get understanding. That's how you get it. Most things are misunderstandings. Somebody don't speak to you. Maybe their mind was on something else. That happens all the time. On Sunday, just an example, on Sunday morning, I don't really like to engage with anybody because my mind is on something else. So I'm trying to focus that in. So I'm tunnel vision. And people don't understand that. But they won't ask. They'll just say, he's arrogant, he's antisocial, or he's mean, or whatever. Or he's not personable. But that's not the case. But most people won't ask.
Why do people always have to say? That's the thing that stood out to me was they'll say he's arrogant, they'll say he's... Why everybody... Say less. Remember I said it the other day, just like, say less is more than a saying. Just say less about people. Say less to people on things that don't matter. Just like we say, and I keep hearing a lot of say, they said, this person said, they usually say, they're gonna say, this person said, they took... A lot of talking about nothing that goes on.
Well, the Bible said be slow to speak and quick to listen.
I'll say that's something that also stood out from this trip back home, since I've been out in Austin for a while, and then also been out there by myself for a while, is noticing the difference between just kind of a lot of human interaction when you just have a lot of touch points. You're on the phone with this, you're going out with this, you're at church with this group of people, you're dinner at this, you're CEO with these people, doing this with these people, doing that with these people. It's a lot more touch points for talking, a lot more touch points for misunderstanding, versus when you do live a little bit more introverted or just kind of by yourself in some engagements, but you engage with things and then go back into your own bubble. All of those things are probably still happening. You're just not really aware of it. You don't think about it. And I think that's one of the topics that I put down was awareness. So awareness was not only like internal and self-awareness, but external awareness and being aware of your environment, being aware of your surrounding, being aware of people around you, and trying to be aware of intentions. Because I also put observation with that awareness topic, because you have to like observe and watch people and notice patterns and watch your environment and see how things change, see what grows, see what dies, see how things move. And once you do that, I think you'll be in a much, much better place to engage with people, approach life, and conquer situations and roadblocks that come into your life. But I think a lot of people live without that level of intentional awareness to examine your thoughts, examine your motives, like examine your whys, examine even your whats. Like think about what actually happened. What happened last week? What was the highlight of last month? What was 2023 like? Everything's a blur because we're not really observing and aware and downloading and doing like retrospectives and looking and saying, okay, what was the lesson from this? What did I actually experience? What was my intention going into it? Did it meet it? How did that affect my intentions or similar or next experiences that I'll go through? Like, do you see that? Or is that me, my own world, being hyper aware or observational? But in the grand scheme with everybody interacting and everything, people are observant of things going on and people are aware and intentional about that.
Do I see that? I think I see where people, if they are observational, if they are trying to be aware of the situation or whatever, what happens, we bring our own filters to that. And we put everything we see through the filter of our own imagination and our own minds. And that's why sometimes people that are negative or critical or not trusting, so whenever they see something, they see it through those filters instead of a clear, unbiased filter. So they see it through bias. And that's what happens a lot of times. And you see that all the time because we're in this situation and they'll see the same thing I'm seeing, but they'll come back with a whole bunch of negativity around it. And I'm saying, I didn't see that. Or you're just too naive. You always give people the benefit of the doubt. Well, I'm not looking for anything. And I think a lot of times we go in looking for something. And this old gentleman I used to work with when I was a young person, he was an older gentleman. He used to always say, if you look for something, you'll find it. And that's what people, they're looking for it. So the truth is, that's probably not what you find, but that's what you make it to be. And you can make it to be anything you want to in your mind, right?
That's your perception.
That's your perception. I like that. I'm glad you told me that.
Perception and reality?
Yeah.
I try to live in reality as much as possible. I think that's why I also like to examine those whys and intentions, because other people are doing things in reality and that's not what they perceive. People are thinking and talking and acting and moving, and they perceive that maybe they're doing it in a good way, or they're doing it for a good reason, or they're doing it, and you ask someone, why do you do that? I don't know. Why is it like that? I don't know, it just is. Or
the why is important.
Mm-hmm.
The why is so important. And if we would ask why, and that's any question, I mean, like any thing, like, why did I feel that way? Why did I do it that way? Why? And so we got to be willing to ask those questions, and then we've got to be honest with it. That's one of the keys too. You got to be honest with yourself.
So I got a list of topics here actually under the topic of why. So we can actually run through some of those with the first one starting now. And you said it, authenticity. You have to be honest. You have to be real. I think that jumping back to our cancel conversation is a lot of times and somehow we let the fake I'm going to get canceled stop us from being your true self. Just thinking about anything, thinking about how you act, how you behave, how you speak, what you wear, where you go, how you move, how you take care of your life, how you live your life. Sometimes I think people do for approval or to avoid punishment rather than do for what they want to do, or even being intentional thinking about why do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? Or is that something else or someone else or some programming that made you think like that or made you have that on your list? When you think of whys and honesty and authenticity, how does that blend? Because at the end of the day, some of that why that's your authentic why is something that was programmed.
Yeah.
So it's authentic, but it's programmed, and then some of it is programmed, and you'll analyze it and say, well, I don't agree with that, and you'll drop that. Where's the balance of programmed wise versus my own, what I picked up and added to it myself?
Yeah, that's a tough one because it really goes deep. As you said, some of it's programming and life lived, um, and you can't get around that. But you've got to be willing to reach beyond that. And when you do, it's work. I think it's work, and people like to take the easy route to most things.
I like to believe that easy route people ain't listening to my podcast. And if you are an easy route person, I sympathize with you. I define the right word. I sympathize with you. And I think that you don't have to always be on the easy route. You don't always have to be an easy route person. How you do everything isn't how you do anything. So you can be an easy route person and something can switch, and then you say, I'm going to do hard things. I'm going to do the work.
Yeah, that happens, and it should happen. The light should go off, and we decide we're going to do something different because we're tired of getting what we're getting. And if you keep doing what you're doing and you're getting what you get and you're not happy, eventually something's got to click, and you got to do something different. Nothing ever happens or grows without effort. And when you see people that never grow in whatever area you want to address, any area, that's because they're not willing to put the work in. And it's not going to be easy, but it's always worth it because you're going to grow from it. Nothing ever happened by taking the easy route, except low life living.
Yeah, I think what motivates people to not do easy things anymore, what motivates people to kind of level up, and what motivates people to, even if you don't have another level to go to, just keep going, because sometimes it's not always about a climb. Sometimes it's just maintaining. Sometimes it's just keep going. So I think regret is one of those powerful motivators. Regret is, you should be motivated by, I think we were talking about this the other night, is when you say, I want to do the best, it's because I want to do my best. I want to do the best. I want the outcome of the best. I want to know that I gave my all. And I'm like, I want to do the best because I don't want to fail. And if I fail and I failed and say I did my best, then I'll be okay with that. But if I fail and knew I didn't give my best, then you'll have regret.
Yeah.
So it's like, regret sometimes to some people don't exist. I think that's back to that optimism versus the people that say these are the negatives in it. I think that regret is one of the more powerful motivators for me. And there was a book. I hope I don't misquote the author. Good thing y'all have Google, so I know the title is right. But it's The Power of Regret by Daniel H. Pink, I believe. And that was a book that kind of deep dove into that. So I think keeping down on those whys, if it's not going to be regret, sometimes it is influence. So knowing that we're all influenced by things, the programming, or also just help. Not thinking of negative influence, but positive influences that happen in your life. You have mentors, you have leaders in life. Leaders and leadership, I think, is different from mentorship because that just happens. Someone around is leading, and they may not speak to you, but they lead you.
Mm-hmm.
A mentor is actually a touch point or a relationship that goes alongside leadership. So I think that you've been, and I know you've been, and currently are both, two people. And I know that most of the people that listen to this podcast, I'd assume, and I hate making assumptions, but I think about target audience. I hope and think these are people that are on the other side of mentorship and leadership that maybe can benefit from hearing from your side. So if you have any wisdom or advice or just tips or your experience to speak on being a mentor to others, how mentorship improves their lives when you had mentors and when you were mentored by others, how that helped your life. And then the same for leadership. I think we can dive into that afterwards because I think that isn't as a product of Proverbs as the mentorship aspect.
Yeah, when you talk about mentors and those, they do touch your life and they walk with you. And I've had many of those type of people in my life. And since we're going to talk about leaders later, a mentor is one that he puts more, I guess, intentionality to you and helping you to walk in a certain way because he puts more effort and it's more personal. Um, and that is the difference. That is one difference in being a mentor and just being a leader. Because I've had both of them, as you said. I've had leaders that I looked up to and I watched them and I could model them. But those mentors are ones that teach you. And I've had so much of that. One in particular, I always mention Uncle Ghana, who was my father's brother. And he would take time out to come and help me to do things. I remember when I got my first car and I wanted to learn how to work on it. He would always help me with it. At first, I don't know if I told you, but I was telling somebody. At first, he would come and he would do what needed to be done. But he would take the time to do that. I could go up there and he could be doing anything, but he would always do that. And then after that, he would not do it for me, but he would show me how to do it. And he'd take time to do that. And I never forget, I had a situation where I think it was a tie rod that was coming loose. My stern was getting loose and I didn't know what it was. And he said, he came and looked at it and he told me what it was and told me what I need to get. And then he told me, you can do it. He said, you do it. He told me what to do and he said, no, you do it. He didn't even come down to watch me do it. But that was just one thing, but that was many. Not only did he help me and mentor me there, but also in the church. I never forget, he came down one day and spoke to my dad and said, I want Roy to come to Sunday school because he don't come to Sunday school. Do you mind if I bring him to Sunday school? Dad said, no, you can bring him. And he asked me, he said, why don't you come? I said, won't nobody get me up? He said, okay. What time you going to get up? And every Sunday he would come down there at that time and get me up. He'd leave his house, come down to my house to make sure I was up. I had a mom and a dad in the house. But he did that until he walked with me in that until I could walk on my own. And I remember that time I told him, I said, Uncle, you don't have to come and wake me up anymore. I'll be there. And the rest of it is history. He taught me in the Sunday school, different areas of serving in it. He taught me all the way up. He saw me from there to becoming pastor of the church.
Man.
Yeah.
That's cool because that was the one person that was around to see the whole thing.
Whole transition.
Everybody else was around for it, but they didn't observe it. They wasn't kind of there walking with it the whole way.
Yeah, he was there the whole way, the whole time.
Man.
But he was one that always would stand out as a powerful mentor in my life. Not only for living in the natural things, he always taught about money, saving, paying yourself, giving to the church. He always was big into that. He'd teach you those things. And it's funny because there's a lot of men, like even older than me, that talk about how he taught them how to handle money and how to save money. And I'm sure he tried to teach them the same things he taught me because that's just how he was.
Mm-hmm.
But he was one. But yeah, so that's how you want to be. And that's you. It's paying it forward. Where people have poured into your life and you see the benefits of that, then you just, pour it into other lives. Give them a chance. We got to give people a chance.
That's what I like about mentorship is usually somebody's a leader when they choose to be a mentor. As they've become a leader. And I think both of those are things that you are and you do and you don't seek to do it. Mm-hmm. Someone that's like, I want to be a leader. I want to lead people. if you want to, that means you're not. That's what you want to be. That's what you want to do. That means you're not doing it. I want to mentor people. I think he just did it. Like you said, he was your mentor, but he was a mentor to all the others that he was teaching as well. If someone's a teacher, someone's a leader, you naturally do these things. So that would be a challenge or a call to the audience is, where are you a leader at? Where are you mentoring people at? Where do people come and ask you for advice? You think about, it's more than a question on a dating app, because that's one of the questions on the profiles is like, my friends ask for me advice on. It's like, well, no, what do people see you as a leader in? What do people trust your judgment in? It's like that's something that you can see, and then you can take that gift. Hey, I noticed that people usually ask me about this. I'm gifted in this. I have a reputation of being stronger in this than others are. Be intentional about sharing that with others. Be intentional about, when people ask you how you do this enough times, be proactive. Hey, I know how to do this. Let me teach people how to do this. So that's a good pro and a good call to action for you as a listener, is find a way to take lessons here and apply them to your own life. And mentorship is one that you can then pay it forward. Be prolific. Produce many seeds. Produce many fruits. And because you plant the seed, and the tree that you get shade from, the person that planted that seed ain't been here for 2 generations, but you get shade from the tree. So, and you even cut the tree down, and they planted that seed and watered it for hundreds of years, and you cut it down because you want to put a garden.
Yeah,
you want to put a garden up that you saw on Instagram, ain't gonna take care of for 3 weeks, and ruining folks' good tree for generations for your little hobby that you gonna throw away. See, that's me being pessimistic. You gonna do that garden and you gonna grow your stuff.
Do that.
Yeah, grow them.
You was talking about motivation and regret. Regret can be a good motivation, but sometimes it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it keeps you going down the path of destruction.
Like vengeance.
Vengeance are either hopelessness, say regret because of what hasn't happened, and you just lose the fire or the willingness to keep moving, and you just give up. Everybody don't move forward from regret.
Yeah, you don't see it as an opportunity to change the outcome moving forward, because I can do something to not have to feel that regret anymore. You see it as, I can't do anything to solve that. Mm-hmm. Whether if you forward thinking or past
And that's
thinking.
the thing. See, some people hang on to the past, And I say that all the time. You can't live, even Matthew say that now. He don't spend a lot of time looking in the rearview mirror because you can't really go forward looking backward.
You can't go backwards anyways, because you got to make a U-turn. You have to turn off course. It's not like you can just stop, put in reverse, and go backwards if you see something. You're going to have to go so far out your way to go backwards. And then if you thought you saw something in the rear view, that could have been your perception. You could have went all the way off course to go do something from the past, fix something from the past, and it's just how you perceived it. That trauma stuck to you in that way. It made you see a situation in a way that it wasn't. You go back to rectify it, and it wasn't even like that. And now you done wasted all that time and all that energy. Just keep moving forward, basically.
And that's the key. Keep moving forward.
Looking at the list of our why, we got through most of it. Humility, that's natural. You can't. I don't think you can teach humility. I think life has to teach you humility. You can tell someone be humble. You can tell someone don't think too highly of yourself. You can tell them all the things.
And if one thing about it, life is going to teach them that.
Yeah.
Life is going to take you to that place, or yeah.
Let's see. I'm thinking about how it transferred to somebody that's just gonna be raggedy in everything they do, and it ain't gonna never grow nothing, because it ain't just fighting a circumstance that exists right now. It's a mentality. They ain't gonna do right in this, and then they gonna get 100,000 subscribers, and then they're not gonna hire a lawyer. They're not gonna do right in that because they just do. And then you think, all right, well then they're gonna sign some contracts, and they didn't get that lawyer, and then they're gonna be stuck in something, and they're gonna get sued. Or maybe they don't. Maybe then they grow and they don't get a lawyer. Then they sign a deal and they get a lawyer and an agency, and somewhere down the line, not being diligent gonna cost you. Somewhere you ain't gonna be paying attention, or you have done skipped something or not did something right. It's gonna come back to bite you.
Yeah.
Remember before we painted over right here where it said carelessness over the light switch? Yeah,
Carelessness.
you may be right, carelessness.
Why do that?
Because I backed into the neighbor's mailbox and I wasn't paying attention. And then I'd imagine as an adult, especially having my car backed into, not paying attention a couple of days ago, having my car backed into and knowing like, all right, now I need to pay for that. I have to fix a mailbox. I'm going to have to fix a car tail light. I'm going to have to do all this stuff that, whatever. Whatever.
We replaced 2 mailboxes for Walt.
Mailbox on the wrong side of the road. Shouldn't replace nothing. That should have been a sign. Hey, look, big dog, the mailbox keep getting hit because it's the only mailbox in the whole zip code on the wrong side of the driveway. I ain't replacing nothing. Put it where it's supposed to be. Whatever. Where are we at on this list of stuff? Forget the list. Who cares? You can put that on Do Not Disturb.
What you mean do not disturb? Is that different from silent?
Uh-huh. Don't let no
How you do it?
notifications. There you go.
Okay, I've never done that before. Helpful.
Yep. Oh, you don't understand peace, Leroy. My phone lives on Do Not Disturb.
So what don't come up when you got on do not disturb?
Nothing at all. It has to be you, Mom, Daniel, or Matthew calling me for me to get a notification. If I don't want to look at my phone, I don't look at my phone. And when I look at my phone, I check the messages or check my emails or check whatever, but I don't like my phone calling attention to me. I don't like a sound. I don't like laptops or anything like that. Like I'll check when I need to check, but you don't get my attention when you just want it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to control some of those type of things. So yeah, my phone, and that gets me into some trouble because I'm the worst texter that exists, and even timely messages. Oftentimes you'll miss a timely message. It's like, hey, I'm out. What's your size? Or hey, do you need anything? If I don't text you back for 45 minutes, you back home.
Mm-hmm.
So what? I guess I didn't need it that bad. Rather that than I was doing something, I got a ding, I'm going to text back, no, I'm good, I don't need nothing. Now I done got distracted. Now I'm going to sit on my phone for 45 minutes doing other stuff since my phone in my hand. So I try to limit my screen time. I have a weird philosophy. Crazy for me not being a parent of nothing, having parenting philosophies, but I feel like people should live the life that you want your kids to live. So if your kids have to go to bed by 10 p.m., why don't you have to go to bed by 10 p.m.? If it's good for them, it's probably good for you. If your kids aren't going to be able to watch TV or have screen time,
shouldn't either.
You shouldn't either. If your kids are going to have to eat vegetables and they're not going to be able to eat McDonald's, why should you eat McDonald's? I forgot when that clicked in my brain. So it's like anything that I'm doing, you wouldn't want your kids to say, but you don't do it. I think it clicked because if something happens and the kid is now on its way or here or something, you don't just get to flip a switch and say, well, my habits and my lifestyle and how I live and what I do, that's what it was, and now it's not. You'll mess around and bring all that negative stuff into the kid phase too if you don't stop those habits before a kid is there. So let's say that I eat McDonald's every day for dinner. And I'm saying, all right, well, when I have a kid, I'm not going to eat McDonald's. Yes, you are. There's nothing that's going to say that day happened and now you're going to stop doing stuff. So that was my thought process behind that. I forgot when it happened, but it's like, nah, because you also don't want to throw your life out of whack. You don't want to have a routine and you live a certain way, do certain things, move around, and now a kid is here and you're going to have to go through those changes on top of new kid changes. Like, no, have everything kind of in place so that when a kid comes into your life, it just comes into your life. You don't have to build a new life around the kid if everything's been in place right. Is that off? Is that ridiculous?
No, it's not ridiculous. It sounds kind of a good way to think, because then you won't have to make a whole, but it's going to be some major adjustments now. It's going to be some major adjustments, but I don't think that's a bad way to think, because it won't be as many adjustments, because you're going to find there's going to be a major adjustment when a kid comes in.
I know it's going to be adjustments, but I think also it's funny, but like Planned Parenthood, it's probably a little easier and the adjustments can be managed a little better when you're planning parenthood, even down to planning like your partner in parenthood. Saying like a lot of people can get caught up in tricky situations when it's a little more unplanned, and you don't know how location's going to work out. You don't know how career, you don't
I
know.
agree.
Like, you have to plan every aspect of it. So maybe it's a lot more thinking coming when at 30. And honestly, the title for this list of topics was 30 for 30. I can't do 30 for 30, I think, because ESPN owns that as a series.
Right.
Something around there, 30 under 30, something like the Forbes list that they do. Tangent. I hate these lists, and I'm getting tired of y'all. I forgot the name of the Instagram page it used to be, but it was like a magazine or something. And they do a profile on you as a business, as a whatever, as a person. It looks so official and so legit. And it's just basically a pay-for-play, write a profile for somebody. It's not like you don't really even have to have a substantial business or substantial impact or substantial resume or anything. It's just like, oh, we can get you a profile if you want a profile. And I just don't like that. I don't know why. Like the Forbes Fund 30 under 30 or 40 under 40 list, all of these. Like Georgia Tech and Georgia State email me every year and say, nominate someone for these lists. I can just nominate my friends. I could email one of my people like, hey, I've written up this nomination. Can you nominate me for this list? I want to throw this on the resume. If they ask every year, and it's like, I know some people that get them, the steps after you get them, the different fundraising, the different things. Just don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and lakes that you're used to, because the Hollywood star, they have to pay for that. That's a thing. They don't just say, yes, you've done enough, here's your star. Like, that's a whole thing you have to pay for. And then what if you don't even value that?
Mm-hmm.
What if you don't want people walking on your name? What did Michael Irvin say on the It Is What It Is sports show? He was like, I don't want them to retire my jersey. If they retire my jersey, they put it in the rafters. The day that you transition, they say, look, Irvin was a good player. Back to the game. Other than that, they don't talk about it. He's like, but they didn't retire my jersey, so every Sunday when 88 catches the ball, they say, oh, that looked like Irvin. When he drops the pass, they say, Irvin wouldn't have dropped that. They say, I get to live on forever. That person in the rafters, he lives once. And then they forget about it until that annual ceremony. So, guess it just depends on your perception.
Yeah, your perception.
This episode is going to be named Perception is Reality. Anywhere, everywhere.
Nowhere.
All right, let's see. Where was we at? Oh, yeah. Before I went on a tangent, if y'all heard a lot of metal, that was the sound of a 40-year-old film camera. Dad recently found a Canon AE1 program, a 35mm camera that he bought over 40 years ago. Now I'm in possession of this relic that is actually fully functional, so can't wait to get this film developed. The first roll that's in it is how many years old? How many millions of years?
I don't know, but it's pretty old.
Millions and millions of years.
I forgot when
old.
I stopped taking pictures, though. But it was a long time ago. It was way before y'all were here.
So I'm excited to see what type of, they said, effects.
That was a go-to camera back then. My first camera was a Pentax K1000. I wish I still had it, but then I bought that camera after I bought that because I wanted the automatic, and Canon was the going camera at the time. But yeah, and what was you was talking about? I don't know how that subject came up.
Photography, because we were talking because Mom is always photography. You know, she's taking pictures at the church. She's taking pictures of our golf outing. We'll get to the golf outing too.
Oh, I remember. And then I said I used to take pictures too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started naming the cameras I had and the things I did.
And that Pentax, I actually started Googling that Pentax and this Canon, like, are still both like reputable and traded cameras, because 35mm film, I guess it's one of those things where you're using an older technology. You don't care about all that. You know, like, you don't need all the megapixels, all the autofocus. It's like, I'm shooting on film, big dog. Like, let me enjoy the art. It's almost even better that it's like, this is a solid camera. When I looked up the reviews on it, they were saying, like, this was used in photography schools and this was used in film schools because the students, they knew it was so reliable. Like, when I picked it up, the first thing I said was, this is real metal. Like, it's a hunk of steel is what they said. So you can feel a little more confident using it, because, like, if I had a 40-year-old Rolex, that's going in a safe, because I know those little parts are so brittle in the movement, and even it's going to be so valuable. I'm going to send it to Rolex. They're going to refinish it. The value is in it being original 40 years old, but that's not going to work well. This is 40 years old and expected to work as day one, so That's cool to have something vintage that's usable. And I think of this roll of film, I've probably taken like 5 or 6 shots since I was able to find the right battery for it. And assuming, and from everything I can see so far, the shutter's working, the lens is working, everything's functional. Setting the aperture and like exposure, like it all works. Cool, and won't need a new lens. It has that fixed 50 millimeter lens on it, so I like that too because all the kit lenses with DSLRs come with like variable zooms. Mm-hmm. So you can get into 18 millimeters, you can get all the way out to 75. But the real art is taking the 35 or 50 and you positioning the camera to get the shot, not positioning the lens to like make it seem like it's the shot. I've already noticed that in the first couple shots is you actually have to play around with your positioning and then play around with the setting once you're in position because the setting for right here ain't the setting for over here. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun hobby if the Porch Pirates didn't get my care package that Amazon was supposed to send.
Yeah, I hadn't got a notice yet.
It's funny. We like to support small businesses, and I think this is going to be a natural lead into our money section of the podcast. But you support small businesses, entrepreneurs, you rip and run around, wasting gas, wasting time to find a camera store, a local camera store, because they should have stuff that, you know, Walmart, Best Buy won't have. They're camera enthusiasts. Can you believe these people had the nerve to tell me you can find that on Amazon? I did not drive over 30 miles all over the place to look for something that I can spend my money, receive my product, and support the local economy for y'all to tell me Prime got free 2-day shipping.
Wow. At least they told you since they didn't have it.
And realistically, could have called. Luckily, we were just out and about bouncing around Buckhead for the day, so it wasn't bad. We were going to be in the area anyways, but it's the principle of a small business saying, go to Amazon, and then go be crying when they go out of business. Amazon took all the business.
Yeah, they should have said that they would get it for you and send it to you.
Right? And then they went to Amazon, ordered it one day, charged me $6 more, put it in USPS, and me thinking that they did me a solid.
I didn't think about that the other day, but they should have done that.
It's just your mentality, if you're service-based, or if you're solution-based, or if you just leave me alone.
What kind of camera store was it? I mean, what was it?
It was, I don't want to shout them out. I do want to shout them out. Actually, I'm going to shout them out and give an honest review that I didn't put on Google. Hey, this store musty. I'm going to keep it real with you, Leroy. It was...
Come on, now. You can't do that.
Nah, this store was musty. It's in Lenox Mall.
We're going to get canceled.
I don't care. Cancel me. I didn't sign nothing to say that I can't tell my true experience about this store. I wish I knew their name. I would tell y'all.
I'm glad you don't.
Up top, Bloomingdale's, the kid entrance, little video store. They're really there for like drones.
What about the fact they didn't know what the battery was?
Yeah, all right. I got to slow walk this dog. So we go into this store. They're clearly dealing with hard times in the economy because they're saving money on AC. They're saving money on AC. It's a little hot in there. When it's a little hot and your toes out, yeah, their toes was out. So Lord, it's a little hot, your toes out, summertime. But I get it. It's just a lot going on. So environment was one thing. Now we get into subject matter expertise. So they get the camera. I'm like, yeah, battery. I've downloaded the owner's manual. I haven't looked at the owner's manual yet. It's on my phone in files. And I'm like, yeah, just a battery for this. I know the number of the battery. They're like, oh, yeah. They grab a screwdriver and start unscrewing this thing on the bottom. To their defense, the size of the battery and where a battery looked like it should go was in that spot. But as I pull up the owner's manual while they're unscrewing, turns out that's where the electric motor to wind the film is at. So they're unscrewing into something. I quickly have to, like, give me my camera back. We'll solution this, but what we're going to do is put that cap back on, the camera in my hands, and we'll figure the rest of this out together. So, yeah, that camera store in Lenox Mall, I'm pretty sure if you have a drone, great people. If you have a digital camera, great people. If you're not sensitive to sense, great people. If you need a film camera or anything worked on around film, I'd probably skip it. The net of this is we went to a musty store. They didn't have what we had. But let's go into entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship seems to be a lot of flim-flam to me as of late. And I understand that everyone can't do career. I think everyone naturally does a career. If you do a bunch of jobs, your jobs usually line up in some type of path. That's what your career was. That's what your career is. Like if you bounced around, you might have had a career in retail because you worked at this retail place, that retail place, this. You find the industry or vertical. And like the guy I played golf with the other day, he's like, yeah, I ended up working in hospitality. It's like I was a chef. I worked for Hyatt Hotels. I worked for Marriott Hotels. Then I ended up working for KSU. But he's in hospitality was his career, even though, as he said, like when he was doing it, he was just working jobs.
That's the way he saw it.
That's the way he saw it, was I was just working jobs. But now that I'm retired, this is what my career was in. We end up with the career, but some of y'all seem to have a career and not having no job, labeled as entrepreneurship.
A career in not having a job?
Yes. Career entrepreneurs, where's the financial statements? Because I think that these entrepreneurship ventures are just reasons to not work no job. I'm sorry.
But how is that? But aren't they doing something?
You tell me. I'm sorry. This Product of Proverbs is after I turned 30 years old, and I can only imagine how people, you know how they say, oh man, when I'm 60, when I'm 70, I'm going to say whatever on my mind. I can't even imagine what that's like with me speaking my mind now at 30, because you got to call a spade, dog. I completely understand wanting to have hobbies and extra streams of income that you might take a hobby and turn it profitable, or not even profitable, but create income from it. Because additional streams of income isn't additional streams of profit. A lot of times, if you can get that extra $1,000 a month, at the end of the year, it might have cost you $1,500 a month, but you got to use that $1,000 of income. Figure it out with the tax lady later. But I think it's additional streams of income. You ain't having no income. What are we doing? Never made a single dime. Might have had some business activity, potential contracts. Might have had a signed contract that fell through. Might have had a business plan. Legit accounting. You have records of formation. You have an accountant that files it. Like you have all these things. You can't label yourself an entrepreneur or a business person if you ain't doing no business stuff. Admin ain't business. You can create an Instagram page in 15 seconds and have a business page and a business profile. But
yeah,
at what point are we going to draw the line and say, entrepreneurship should be reserved for entrepreneurs and people that are going to be serious about it? There are people that have careers they're career entrepreneurs. There are people that have careers of, I started this business venture, it didn't work. I started this business venture, it didn't work. They don't even have to be in the same vertical. I tried this service business, it didn't work. I tried this retail business, it didn't work. I tried this wholesale business, it didn't work. But at some point, it's like, where you work at, how you survive. And I think that I'm speaking in this segment to the younger kids that's on Instagram looking at successful entrepreneurs. There's far less of them than exists. So when we look at the mental health issues that come because you feel like you should have access to things, you look at what you feel like you should be experiencing when that's not reality. It's not a reality thing. And I usually end up being pessimistic, like we were talking about earlier when we talk about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs. But like, it's a mindset. To call back to the story that started this, like, they could have just came up on like $15 profit. I was with an MX. I was going to pay whatever they said. They could have ordered me some film reels. They could have ordered me a case. They could have said, we got whatever you need, and been behind there just making a fake receipt and sending me an Amazon order. Or they could have just let us walk out the store, don't make a sale. Now we on this podcast talking bad about them. It's two different ways. As an entrepreneur, are you going to be willing to do whatever it takes to make money and make a career out of what you're doing? Or do you just want the profile and the title? Are you service-based? Are you solution-based? Are you adding value to someone else other than your own ego? Are you, like, about taxes? Like, are you prepared to make $100 and owe $30 about your benefits? The company, if you make $100, the company usually pays $20 for certain benefits. You owe $20 for the benefits because the company ain't there to pay for them. Health, dental, retirement, these things. So now you made $100, you owe $30 in taxes, you owe $20 for the benefits. They already said we have to work twice as hard to get half as much. You need to work 4 times as hard.
I do agree with that entrepreneurial spirit. I do think it's important, and that's one of the driving forces of our economy. But I think what happens, Joshua, is that people don't do the legwork. They don't do the proper research. They get an idea, a bright idea, of something they want to do or think they want to do without even knowing what it entails. I think before a person start a business, they should work in that business to see how it really is, because it might not be something you want to do once you get into it and start doing it. I do know sometimes people just don't want to really work a job, and so they won't look real bad. Like, that's one of the things. Now, I'm not a fan of that, but some people do that because, I ain't gonna work for nobody.
I'm going to tell you something. I know real entrepreneurship, and I tell this to anyone. That's going to be Jason's lawn service, because that's real entrepreneurship.
When I was talking about it, but I wasn't going to call his name.
I wake up in the morning, I get on the truck, and I go. I have clients. I do marketing. I do accounting. I do invoicing. I mix the chemicals myself to treat yards. That's not, I started an Instagram page.
No.
I cut your yard for $25.
Not at all. He started with the company. He learned the job. He learned the business. And then he ventured out on his own. And he's been very successful.
And that wasn't the first time. I think
he's got that spirit.
Personal training.
And he was successful at that as well.
And the whole thing is that entrepreneurial spirit is, it's not I don't want to work no job, because he worked 4 times as hard.
Oh, yes.
As a personal trainer and doing his own service, as if he would have just sat in somebody's Crunch Fitness. He could have did a quarter of the work.
And he did that too, see.
But it was learning.
He was learning the business.
It wasn't, I'm doing this because this is what I do. It's, I'm doing this because I need to see what y'all do. I need to see how y'all move. It's that intention. And that's the entrepreneur spirit. That's career.
Yeah.
Career entrepreneur versus y'all that is career, start a new Instagram page. I'm speaking to the young kids. Don't do it. I've seen the other side. In Texas, working with the youth out there, they don't think like that. They're thinking like, I need to work for someone, learn the trade, I can start my own business. The 14-year-old that said, I want to be a civil engineer, there's not an Instagram page, I'm an entrepreneur, for I'm a civil engineer. There isn't even like, I'm a civil engineer before there's years of school. Versus when I get to talking around here, it's like, oh, I want to be a streamer, or I want to be in the NBA, or what you going to do if not? Oh, I want to own my own business. I can do this, I can do that. At what point will someone pay you for what you do? Because that's going to be the end all be all. If I wrap up my entrepreneurship soapbox, is profits and loss. When you think about, and actually this might be a way to transition into personal finance and our other money topics, but profit and loss. Hold on, that wouldn't be profit, because profit is after income minus expenses. So it can't be profit and loss. Look, we right back at debunking another saying. Profit and loss.
You get all these sayings that are not true.
Profit and loss. That's nothing true about that, because profit includes loss. Well, maybe because if there isn't a profit, it ends up being loss. As opposed to saying income or revenue, it's like It's either profit or it's loss. This is why you need to think about what you say so you can learn the actual meanings of it or debunk it, because perception is reality anywhere, everywhere, and nowhere.
And the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Everywhere. But yeah, like, think about income, expenses will end up in profit or loss. Regardless of if it's profit or loss, you will have spent a total amount of hours working on getting to that outcome.
One thing I'd like to add is too many people make the mistake of not counting what they actually spend in the business. Like, if you spend $1,000 to get this, but then you make $600. Well, I made $600. No, you're minus $400.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't say it that way. I made $600. You spend $1,000 next. You mentioned that at the beginning. You might make $1,000, but it costs you, when you get to the end of the year, it costs you $1,500. You know, so you really didn't make.
But for a lot of people that don't have a W-2, and which is kind of what I think about as the root of this entrepreneurship conversation, especially within our community, is a lot of those people that don't have a W-2, yes, it might have cost them $1,200, but they made $1,000. They say, I made $1,000 because they paid their rent with that $1,000. They got food and groceries with that $1,000. They put gas in the car with that $1,000. So they did make it. even though they had already spent more than that, they got to see it. Versus in a business, when you work for a company, you make money and you see it all the time. For people in that entrepreneur lane, you don't see it frequently. So that one event, that one thing where they make that 600 that they really are negative 400, they ain't seen 600 in 2 months. So it's tricky.
Yeah.
I think about it more so from the hourly perspective, where if I was to go work at Kroger, I mean, I would laugh at them if they said, we're going to pay you $2 an hour. I would say, y'all are disrespectful if they said $5 an hour. But if you do your profit and loss, and then you say, I spent 100 hours to make this $100 profit, you just work for $1 an hour. We were saying about podcasting and other things earlier. Sometimes you have to scrape by doing $1 an hour work, because later on when you get that big contract for $25 million, it's going to balance out to where you were working for $1 an hour up front, but when we even up the numbers, you got paid your $20 an hour for those hours. You got paid $100 an hour for those hours. So it depends. Or if you're a serial entrepreneur, you dub that venture, go to another one, you never got paid anything for those hours. So think about that. Think about the profit and loss. Think about the risk and the risk you're willing to take, because I'm a very risk-averse person. I've noticed that. And because of that, I will miss out on a lot of ridiculous growth on certain things. If I could pick the right stock, I could 10x the money. If I could pick the right batch of companies, I could turn 1,000 into 1,000,000. But being a little more risk-averse is saying, I'm okay with my 1,000 being 10,000 when I need it. I don't need it to be 1,000,000, because there's a lot of people that they 1,000 going to be 0. I don't gamble, so I know that my 1,000 could end up between 0 and 1,000,000, or I can go do something where it's going to be 10. Just give me my 10. It's a safe play. But everyone got a different risk level. Some people win big, lose big. Some people gamble. Some people roulette. Some people blackjack. Some people, you got to know your risk level when it comes to your personal finances, when it comes to your life, with what you're willing to risk for your business, what you're willing to risk for your family, what you're willing to risk for your ego, for your pride. Some things are like, when you examine the whys behind them, like, I'm willing to risk this. I'm willing to put this on the table, and maybe it worked, maybe it don't. But the reward is worth the risk, so it works for me. What's your risk level, and what would you tell people as the wise elder in the room and on the podcast? How would you tell the young people, the middle-aged people, or anybody to approach risk, kind of looking back on it?
I'm very conservative. I've always been low risk. And that's just the way I've always been. Of course, you, as you said, you don't get the big hits, but you're consistent. It's more consistent. Some people are going to take those risks and benefit, and some people are going to take them and lose. You said it all, really. You've got to know where you are in that and what you're willing to, where your comfort level is.
You also got to take some losses along the way. So you learn your comfort level, because you lost $50. You lost $500. You lost $2,000. You said, actually, I don't like this feeling, so I know that as I start making more, I know as I start doing different moves that I can lose 10,000. I can lose 100,000. It's not worth it to me. I've seen that I can lose $50 and I won $200, but I lost 50. The losing 50 hurts more than making 200. So this ain't the game for me. A lot of people, I think, whether this is stocks, gambling, sports betting, whatever you got going on, or just life, risking it on entrepreneurship, risking it with your health, how you moving, the risk is worth the reward. I keep saying it backwards because we dyslexic. Can we self-diagnose ourselves on this podcast with dyslexia?
Why are we like that? What are you saying?
Because we say things backwards and we can't say words right, and then also because we sometimes write our sentences backwards and have to correct the commas. And as I went through the list, do you want me to pull up the list that we self-diagnose right here? Because we can do it.
What list you talking about?
Less. Let's see if we can get a test for dyslexia right here. Appears bright, highly intelligent, and articulate, but unable to read, write, or spell at a grade level.
At a grade level? At the whatever grade they're in, you mean?
It just said at A grade level.
A grade? That could be first grade. You could be in 12th grade and that could be first grade. What you talking about?
Labeled lazy, dumb, careless, immature, not trying hard enough, or behavior problem. I don't think anybody's ever labeled you that. I think I've probably been labeled lazy and careless. We actually just pointed out that you made me write careless on my light switch, so I see it every day when I turn the light on and off. So, I mean, I wasn't behind enough or bad enough to be helped in the school setting.
What do you mean?
They wasn't doing right, but they wasn't doing wrong enough to like really make a problem out of it. They wasn't behind enough or wasn't bad enough to like
What kind of person is that?
dyslexic.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what else I got. High in IQ, yet may not test well academically, or test well orally but not written. Was that me?
No.
Oh, good. I'm not dyslexic by these
No,
four.
you tested well.
Okay. I'm gifted. That's a new workaround. That's a new workaround that we have to avoid getting canceled when you want to call somebody let's get off of this before.
Yeah, you've already crossed the line too much with the...
What, with that musty store out?
Yes, Lord.
I'm going to edit most of that musty store out, Leroy, but I'm going to leave a lot of that. Career, entrepreneurship, real estate. I don't have much to say about real estate. I came out net even. I think real estate's overrated. I think it's just like Actually, I'm not going to say that. I have to be responsible with this platform because I said entrepreneurship was a little overrated. It is when you're doing it wrong. I also say real estate is overrated when you're doing it wrong. And let me add some context to that. Doing it wrong is doing anything from an ego-based perspective, looking to gain status, looking to gain power, looking to be seen as basically if it's anything that's lacking in humility or the opposite of humility, if it's pride instead of humility, that's doing something wrong. So if you're doing real estate to say I'm a homeowner, that's wrong. That's ego, that's pride. Like we talk about, you bought a home, you're 30 years in on the same home because of a real reason. That's not to say that you're better than. It's not to say that you're this because you own a home, but it's for the safety and security of owning your home.
Exactly.
A lot of people, I think, are just doing these things the same way that some people say, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, because they have an entrepreneur spirit and they have that hustle in them and they grind. It's not to say I don't work for nobody. It's to say that I work for me. It's if you get a home to say I'm a homeowner, I'm not a renter. That's wrong. If you start a business to say I don't work for nobody, I'm a boss, that's wrong. So homeownership is great in the right context. It's the number one way to build, retain, and share wealth. Same for entrepreneurship. If we're going to be honest, in the right context, it's great. Probably the number one creator, sustainer, and sharer of wealth, not only with your generations, but with people that you employ. If you employ.
Yeah.
If you do it right. So homeownership isn't overrated. It is if you're just doing it to check a box and add something to your ego, or maybe make yourself say, I did this, I am this. But my homeownership wasn't that, so I'm not like projecting or jaded about it. My homeownership wasn't to build generational wealth. My homeownership wasn't for a like fiscal responsible asset. My homeownership was convenience, and something that I have later down on this list is the quality of life cost. It's like my home ownership was I can buy a bigger house, I can buy a smaller house, I can buy a condo, I can go in this neighborhood, I can go there, but I want to ride my bike 5 minutes to class every night. I want to put 2,000 miles on my car in a year. So therefore, I paid the quality of life cost to buy the type of home and the type of place that I bought it in. That cost means that you don't get long-term gains. You don't get the fiscal part of it. But think about if you're going to buy your home for that. If you're getting ready to buy a house in Stone Mountain, if you're getting ready to buy a house in Pflugersville or Leander, if you're getting ready, I just did Atlanta and Austin talk. Those are just far out neighborhoods from the city. So if you're getting ready to just like decrease your quality of life for this asset, which is realistically a liability because you're tied to this mortgage, think about your profit and loss and think about your why. Think about the future. Think about if I buy this house now, what happens in 3 years if I have life changes, career, relationship, children. What happens if we're at the age now where I have friends and know people that like parents are aging. So what happens if I buy this house now and I need to take care of a parent, but I bought a house for me. I don't have room for this parent here. Or I need to go take care of the parent where they at. Now I got this house. Something happened with your leasing. I just end the lease. Pay these next 3 months and I can go do what I do. What if you can't sell? What if you sell it and after all your fees you owe another 20 that you ain't got right now? What if there's so many things that think about your why. Entrepreneurship, real estate, home ownership. Think about your why. Do your profit and loss. Think about your what ifs. Do your 5-year, do your 10-year, do your 15-year, because you sign up for a 30-year mortgage. So, and you're not locked into it. I bought a condo in 2019, sold it in 2022. So you can sell it. I mean, it's not like you can't get out of it. I lucked up and got out of it positive. If the person that bought it after me wanted to sell it, they would get out of it negative. But that's the way the game goes. We got to tell both sides of the story of some people lose their shirts in home ownership. In real estate, renters, you can tell horror stories of having rental properties and you just losing money and losing peace of mind. Like cost benefits. I just did my soapbox on real estate. What's your real estate perspective to share with the
I think it can be solid, but in all things, I think you need to do your homework. People got to do their homework. You got to know what you're getting into. A lot of times you walk into things, you don't realize the cost involved in it. Even if you're going to buy a home, there's more than you just paying that mortgage. There's insurance, there's taxes. They're going to change. There's repairs. There's always something that you're going to have to do. And you don't take that into consideration. Your appliance is going to break down. You're going to have to repair them, replace them. So it's a lot involved in that. And you just need to go into it with that knowledge. I think it's important. Whatever you decide to do, you mentioned why. Why is always key. I think we started this with the why. You've got to know the why. Always ask yourself and be honest with yourself as to the why. And then some things you probably don't need to do. My why, and Joshua knows the why. I'm not opposed to renting. I'm not opposed to any of that. I never feel more or better than anybody because of any situation. But you got to know why, and everybody should have a reason. You need to have a reason as to why you do what you do, and be honest with it. I think mine's legit. It helped me feel better and more comfortable because of what happened. A life-changing situation happened when I was a little kid. Things that happen will affect you. You don't live in the past, but your past does affect you. It was a negative thing, but I think it affected me in a positive way. And I think I made the right decision for me. And I would do the same thing over again. But I think real estate is good as even with renting. You've got to count the cost. I think the whole thing is counting the cost. The Bible speaks of that.
It does.
You know?
Every time you say it, I've thought about how it says that in the Bible.
Count the cost.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you got to do. So do your homework. Whatever you're going to do your homework.
I think that's the problem. And I think we identified that in this conversation is that this generation, this age, counts the profit, but we don't count the cost. We don't count the loss. We count the income. We don't count the expense. So we see the money made. We don't see what it takes to make it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see the time that goes in. And I say we because I can't say y'all because I'm guilty of the same things and have been guilty of some of the same things. We just don't see it. We see the end result. We don't see the. That's why I like the artists I listen to is they seem to talk about. And some people, they don't resonate with it because it's like, why is it so negative? Why is they talking about the journey? And it's like, yes, you see the shine, but there was a grind before a shine. And all of the struggle that happened and continues to happen because while it's shining, more money, more problems. I think that was another lesson from this trip back home and just realizing is that more money, more problems. There is cost to quality of life. And some of the costs aren't fiscal. Like you have to think about what it costs your mental state, what it costs you emotionally, what it costs you time, because that's a favorite analogy of mine is you know how much money is in your bank account. So you know when you're running low, you know when you're getting more money, you know if you're not getting no more money. If you had a time bank account, you don't know what's in there.
Mm-mm.
You don't know if you get another 2 weeks, a check coming, you have no clue. We could be sitting on, I could be using my last 30 minutes right now. I've kind of lived my life like that. Like, and that's probably why I probably do too much sometimes, because you could be on like your last 30 minutes at any second. Versus the other look is, oh yeah, I'll be here till I'm 80. I'm gonna be here at least till I'm 100 something. Like, no, you might not be here 100 more seconds. So looking at life from a balance where you count your cost, say how long can this last me? And you kind of always want to make sure it can outlast you, knowing that you might not last that long. So say, how long can this last me? You don't want to say, oh, this can last me 10 years. Like whatever I set aside, I want to leave and it be some left over. Mm-hmm. I don't want it to run out while I still got time here. So tricky. Assets, liabilities. The quality of life cost is assets to me. There's a bunch of different assets. Daniel needs to be here to speak about this. Call Daniel if you want to talk about anything, money, finance.
Yeah, assets, liabilities, and risk.
Yeah, life insurance, financial planning, financial advice, different type of investment strategies, risk mitigation. He's the expert on this. We just people talking what we feel. But assets, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. My personal is, if I can't touch it, I don't care about it. I got some stocks and all that stuff. I don't go heavy in it. I want the things that I can see, and I know that I can sell if I wanted to. So give me the watches, the cars, the homes, the insured assets, the art, because I know that if I have a piece of art worth $10,000, I can put that in a car, get to driving around galleries with the certification, and find $10,000. I know a lot of people that had a lot more than $10,000 worth of crypto or worth of stocks, and then something happened in the market and they wanted to sell, they couldn't log into an account. Or they went in and they couldn't press the sell button. To me, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable. If I have 1.3 million and I'm watching my 1.3 turn to 700, I'm watching that 700 turn to 600, and y'all won't let me pull out if I want to, I might have wanted to pull out at 1.3. I done lost half of that.
That happened?
It happens. Whenever something spooky gets to happening around like the markets, and let's say something's tanking and you know them investors about to pull, somehow bleep, 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 all of those places that what do you call them? The institutions and the brokerages and the places that you move the money, either you can't get in, login issues, or they just don't allow buys or sells because too many people buying, too many people selling. Market manipulation. Oh, so when the people are winning or losing, manipulating the market, we can stop that. But y'all manipulate the market all day, every day, and it just happens. So I don't like to play in that game. I know that I can take this Rolex off my wrist, put it into the box, take it in the papers, and find some money for it. Them stocks, we have MySpace pages. We have a lot of pictures from MySpace days. Somebody find your MySpace pictures. You probably don't even have the email address that you had during the MySpace pictures. Who's to say that, like, as technology continues to grow and evolve, that things won't just slip through the crack? I got an NFT somewhere. I don't know what that NFT is worth. I don't know how to get to it. I don't know what the collection's doing. I don't have no... What was the metaverse? I don't have no mansion in the metaverse to put it in. And that could be all them stocks. That could be all of them Bitcoins. That could be everything. So give me what I can see. I got a deed to a house. I got a title to a car. These are reality things. I should have some stocks in that brokerage. I should have some shares that I own in that brokerage somewhere. Confirm it. That's so risk adverse. Daniel is going to hate that message.
I don't think so.
Daniel's going to hate. It's just my perspective. I don't tell anyone not to buy stocks. I made a lot of money on stocks. I mean, I just said I don't like real estate and I don't like stocks, but I traded stocks to get enough money to buy my real estate and then sold my real estate. So there are two avenues and games that I played. I just don't play them no more because I won them. I guess that's the thing.
Yeah.
After you beat the game, you don't really care to play it no more, you know?
No, when you like to win, you want to leave out a winner.
Mm-hmm. That's why I gamble. I won stocks during COVID. I won real estate post-COVID. And I ride off in the sunset in my Porsche.
Yeah.
And I'm 30. But see, that's funny. I was sitting at lunch, and let's see, where can we take this in our list? I was sitting at dinner with two of my frat brothers. We went to Georgia Tech together. They were my mentors, are my mentors. And we were just talking, and it's about that. is perception.
Y'all keep going back to perception, don't you?
It's because of perception, because I just said I won. I said I made a little 5 figures off of stocks. I bought and sold a little $250,000 home, and now I can ride off in the sunset with a little sports car. And that's a win. To some people, they have done 10 times that. They're losing. Some people, they have done 1,000 times that and are still doing 1,000 times that, and they ain't won yet. Perception. What are you searching for? What do you need? What do you want? What is it that makes you feel like a winner? What is it that makes you say, this is enough? I've done enough. Just because I have a Porsche and I say, wow, I won, don't mean that I don't still have goals and steps to get a Ferrari. But if you don't, you still won. Just because you made $1 million and you have goals to make 10, you won already. You're not losing. I think that it's just we got to change our perspective and look at what all you have done. You have graduated from high school. You have gotten accepted into a college. You might have not graduated at college, but you accepted into a college. You know how many people didn't get accepted? You graduated at college. You know how many people didn't graduate? All right, you didn't get a job. You know how many people don't have a job but don't have the college experience? It's like, just think about what you do have. Don't think about what you don't have. And then you'll feel like a lot more of a winner if you look at your wins as opposed to...
And I think that's what happened. People don't look at the wins. They focus on the negatives instead of the positives. And that's a big thing, too, with people. And if you ever get out of that, then you will be a happier person, more positive. And the truth is, with that mentality, you get more wins.
Every day you win more. Every day.
Continue to win. So that is one time. I'm not going to say perception is reality, but it makes your perspective better. And it helps you along the way.
Let's see, looking through our list, risk, reading, read.
Yeah, you got to read. And I guess as far as I am, I'm not real broad in my reading. I read most things around becoming a better teacher, preacher, pastor, servant. And that's where most of my reading, but I do read other material. I'm reading a book now that's not, I know you wouldn't want to read it, but I do read different books.
What is it about?
It is about...
Don't say it.
What?
It's about politics, ain't it?
No, it's not about politics.
Okay, thank God, thank God.
More like a documentary history of the situation that happened, with...
I'll flip this whole table over, Leroy. You bet that. Say it. I'm going to edit it regardless. Say it.
It's on the segregated South.
Actually, we can explore this. What perspective?
Honestly, we had a family reunion.
Oh, it's that book that has the information about what they took.
Yeah, it's when they turned this integrated commons into segregated. They drove all of the black people out of commons, ran them out and burned down their houses, took all their property.
I wonder how does that happen? Well, the book probably explains it, but how does that happen? Because there are deeds within the courthouses.
Well, the people in the courthouses
just
part of the people that was running them out. That's the problem.
That is the problem.
Honestly, the fact is the ones that put the hoods on are the same ones that put the robes on Sunday.
And you want to know what my problem is? Speaking about, I hate to take it there with the politics, but when we were talking earlier about how those institutions will shut down and not let people get their money, it's the similar thing. Like, those institutions and the people that can shut down and not let you make a withdrawal is almost like the courthouse people that changed deeds. And they just changed the deeds. They said these stocks was worth this and they own this. And then once you get back in there, it's not that no more. I don't believe in segregation. I do believe in a certain level of autonomy. You just need to have autonomy. You don't have to be segregated to have autonomy. We can have a mixed neighborhood where, the black people get together and say what they are and ain't going to allow in their neighborhood. And they might have 2 white neighbors in between the black houses, but we're going to force some black rules and the black people are going to operate in a way. The HOA don't need to tell us. When James down there ain't cutting his grass, the black people come say, hey, big dog, you making us look bad within this neighborhood, and you're also making the neighborhood look bad. That can happen. That should happen.
And it should happen.
That should happen. But it doesn't happen because We wait for the neighborhood HOA to say, hey, James, you're making the neighborhood look bad. While all 14 of us in the neighborhood been talking bad about James for 2 months because he ain't cut his grass.
And nobody's talked to James.
Nobody's talked to James. Or even worse, somebody could have said, hey, James, you need some help. Maybe James just can't afford it right now. And we can just pay for the person that's going to cut our grass. Hey, can you stop at James' house?
That's community.
So easy. It's so easy. And
That's community, yeah.
It's just it's that mindset. Very similar to the people at the store that could have just like did a $30 Amazon order, had me swipe my card for $70 and just made $40 on that day. They would have made zero. If they had a solution-based mindset as opposed to I don't know what
And I think that's the thing. Most people don't have a solution-based mindset.
Mm-mm.
They like to complain.
Mm-hmm.
But what you going to do about it? What can we do about this? Instead of just complaining about it, let's do something about it.
You want to know what I like? I will even accept, applaud, and appreciate idea people. You're never going to implement a solution, but when a problem arises, you start thinking and talking about solutions to it. You ain't going to ever implement a single one. You might come up with completely out-of-the-box solutions that can't be implemented. But you started thinking about a solution. You also influenced others to think about a solution. Those people are needed. I think a lot of times, whether it's society or self-filtering, we'll kind of talk ourselves out of or say, well, we can't implement it, or I don't ever implement nothing, so I'm not even going to think about a solve. No, still think about the way to solve it, because eventually you'll find a solution that you can solve if you're training your brain to solve problems.
Yeah, that's the key. We got to be more solution-based, and that'll make a difference.
That's that intentional.
You got to be intentional.
Got to be intentional and present. You have to be present. It's funny because that's the difference between the vices. Like a lot of the vices within our community are vices to make us not present.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you drink, you go out, you go somewhere and something takes over you.
Right.
When you smoke, you go to the clouds and you ain't here on earth no more. Versus, I think in their community, I've never done it. I've never seen it. I've probably been around it. I'm grateful that people respect me enough to like not let me know. But seems that they get extra present off that cocaine and stuff. Like they just get very engaged. They want to talk, like they intense. They're present there. And I think about the other, like those psychedelics and stuff, you get super present where it's about like the trees talking to you. And you just aware of the moment and your feelings, and complete opposite about when you get high and then don't remember, and then you get back sober and you don't even remember what you did when you was high. It's different. I wonder, well, I know it's intentional. I know why, but it's like, how do we get off of that? How do we get off of the fact that in that Frederick Douglass book that Daniel shared that we read, on winter break at the plantation, they give them a football and give them a bunch of barrels of whiskey and let them entertain themselves. And after that, New Year's and Christmas break, they come back working harder than ever all year, looking for the next time that they get to wrestle with each other and drink. And it's like, man, especially as we walking into football season, and every Saturday and Sunday, the day that my Saturday routine is wake up, go to Barnes & Noble, journal, budget, flip through some magazines, maybe read a book or something. That's the time that people are waking up, putting on their outfits, and drinking beers to go throw away the next 48 hours as drunk as possible, eating the worst food possible,
and enjoying every minute of it.
For 4 months. What is it? It's September. October.
February, right?
About half the year. And then complain about it in the group. It's funny though. Oh man, football season, especially when the NBA is gone and football gone, you act like baseball and golf and tennis and everything that exists don't even exist. Oh man, I can't wait for football season to get back. And that's funny because we've never been a football family. I'm now in a fantasy football league, and it's been a doozy already. I'm the laughing stock of my frat group me, because apparently my team was picked as if I picked it with my eyes closed, which I did because I haven't watched a football game outside of a Super Bowl in like 6-7 years.
Right.
So I don't know any pro players, no college players. I don't know no rookies. And all the players I know is like retired, because in football, you only got a little window. So apparently I did all right. I'm scheduled to come in 8th. It's a 10 team.
So you got retired players on your team?
No, But somebody that I'm playing this week, they got a player on their starting lineup, and the message said he announced his retirement in June. Man, shout out to Darren Waller, actually. Darren Waller, he went to North Cobb. I don't know if you remember. We played basketball with him. Tall, light skin, kind of roundish head, probably 8th grade, 7th grade. Darren Waller.
Darren, I remember that
Remember
name.
Darren?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's an NFL player, tight end.
Really?
Yep. He ended up playing. I remember because I used to see him at the Buckhead bars in undergrad, and like we kick it, we talk, and he went through some things. Like he made it to the league, went through some things, recovered, and made it back to the league. And yeah, so in big time, big contracts.
Okay.
I want to say played for the Raiders. I believe they're in Vegas now. Maybe contract with the Giants or Jets, one of the New York teams. And I remember his big stint, maybe the Baltimore Ravens. But yeah, no, he had a successful career. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's funny. There was a profile. I believe I saw something someone shared with me where like, yeah, he's built his dream home around here somewhere.
Here?
Yeah, here in Akron, because he's like from here, family's here, whole thing. So yeah, Darren Waller. I was wondering if y'all remembered. I'm the type of person like I don't like that. I don't like to associate myself with famous people. Like it don't matter that I play baseball with somebody or I play basketball with somebody or I know somebody from growing up. Like I know people that'll take they the 17th cousin twice removed by marriage and divorce. And oh yeah, that's my homie.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man.
Yeah.
I take somebody that I really hung out with and act like I don't know them because you don't. I don't know them. They don't know me. It's like, yeah, we dap each other up when you see them, but you don't know what people go through, who they've grown to be, who they changed over the years. Like, and you don't know. And if you're not going to be intentional, honestly, they don't have time for you to connect and become best friends with them. You don't have time for them to connect and become best friends with you. It's just like certain relationships, they have their phases, levels, stages. It's a lot of relationships that's all love if I see you, but don't call me. There's levels. There's levels to it. That's intentional and being aware of your surroundings. And I think that's a good transition. I think we're done with money. They don't care about money and they're not going to listen.
It's important. Let me say this about money, though. Because today is National 401k Day.
I'm with that. That's one of the things I believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout that out.
And I would just like to just tell everybody, if you get the opportunity to work for a company that have a 401k match, take advantage of it. Just take advantage of it. Let it ride out. And because one thing about it, if you live, it's going to build. Mm-hmm. And you're going to end up at a day when you have some money that you didn't even think about as you were growing and living. And because it's a match, so you automatically get that. I wouldn't necessarily say invest more than they're matching, but at least invest what they're matching if you can. If you can. And if you can't, do something. Take advantage of your company's 401k plans.
And I'm going to speak from the other side. That was to the if you can and the people that have chosen to like give up on hundreds of thousands of dollars in your future to save $300 a check right now. Call Daniel. Call a financial advisor. Get on LinkedIn. Figure something out. Get some help because your future self is going to thank you for it. And I think it really helps to see you entering pull from 401k age. Because when you only see a bunch of 20-year-olds giving this money to something that they might not see, especially thinking like, and that's big, as I said earlier, I live all the time like I might be on my last 30 minutes. So it's kind of ridiculous to my mind and my mindset to say, I'm going to put all this money aside for it down the road when I don't really think that, I don't expect to see down the road. So you should do that and just find a way to do it. At least that match. It's one of those things where a lot of companies are going to do significant matches. Like with I've been at a company before and they're going to put double what I put in. So if I put $7,000 a year in a 401k, they're going to put $14,000. Every year you're going to do $21,000. That's just the match. That's just bare minimum. That's coming out pre-tax. This is all those things that you look up. You've been working with this company for 10 years before any gains, any appreciations, any dividends, anything. You got $250,000 sitting right there.
Yeah.
I think about how that's been compounded.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. That compounding is something else.
That's 10 years. Now think about if you've been working at Lockheed, put it into your 401k
For
from
40
when you
years.
was 18.
I started when I was 18, and I put mine in a 401k, and I've done it for 42 years. And I looked at my account, and it's a good place to be right now because I'm at a place where
You can at any day just call them and say, I'm not working no more. I'm done.
That's a good place to be. And you don't think about that because you might be listening now and you're 30. I remember when I was 21, and here I am 62. So take advantage of it and do other things, Joshua. You got a lot of things going on besides that, but and take advantage of that. I will tell you too, if you can do a Roth, do that.
Do all you can, and talk to Daniel. I'm not gonna say talk to a financial advisor. Talk to Daniel Fowler. I'll put some information so y'all can contact him. He does this professionally.
Yes.
We just sitting here talking. He's certified. He's educated in it. Like, he has fiduciary responsibilities. He's as official tissue as who handles LeBron's money. Like, he's that. We just talking. So talk to Daniel. Talk to your tax whoever. Don't do your own taxes. That's gonna be my other thing. It costs to be the boss. Quality of life. It's just like, stop, dog. You're gonna save $200 to lose $2,000 that a tax professional could have found for you. And then you're going to do that for 10 years and you done saved, what, $2,000 and then left $20,000 on the table.
Minimal.
Stop doing your own taxes. There are people that went to school to learn this stuff. There are people that keep certifications alive and keep continual education. And as tax codes change, they learn the new tax codes. They can help you. It takes a team. They say successful people have a team. Start thinking of yourself as a successful person. You should have someone helping you with your taxes. You should have someone on the financial planning side. Honestly, if you're a professional, and as we're entering our age and maybe getting intentional, because a lot of us, at least in my kind of cohort, my people I went to school with, undergrad, MBA, etc., we can sit here. We've done it. We graduated school about 8 years ago. We've gotten our internships. We've gotten our entry level. We've even made it to management. We can sit here for 20, 30 years and chill. But also there's a group of us that are going to keep going, you know? So you should probably have someone helping you with your brand. You should have someone making sure that, like, your style and how you carry yourself is in line with what you want to portray. Because some people that want to be C-suite, you're going to have to dress like C-suites dress like when they're 30. Because when it's 40 to start voting on them people, they going to want to trust you. If you've been dressing like you were 16 until you turned 37, now you want to be somebody's CFO at 40, you might have wanted somebody that's been transitioning you into that. A stylist or a brand person can even, like, help you, your accessories. Maybe, hey, look, your tech, you looking a little bit too construction. Like, you might want to change your facial hair a little bit. You're looking really yuppie. Let's get you a little bit more down to earth. So you want people that's intentional about how you portray yourself, because you want to be authentic. Thinking about the why, like, there's authenticity and authentic you, but you also have an identity, and your identity changes. As we say, as you grow, you mature, you reinvent yourself, you set new goals. Like, the you in the Mustang GT can't be the you in the Corvette. The you in the Corvette can't be you in the Porsche. The you in the Porsche can't be you in the Ferrari. And the you in the $1 million house can't be you in the Section 8 apartment. And the you in the starter townhouse can't be the you in the golf course, families, private school community. You need intention, and the people in the levels that you want to get to aren't doing it on their own. They don't have a team of people like a rapper that follows them around from interview to interview, but they have people that they employ, mentors, a leadership board of directors. They have financial planners. They have tax people. They have real estate agents. They have stylists. They have people that help them. So when you see people really put together and really doing it, and you say, why am I not doing it? Because you're trying to do it on your own. Everybody else is doing it with a lot of help. What's the proverb? It's a product of Proverbs. Or it might be in Ecclesiastes. 2 is better than 1. For when one gets cold, the other can provide warmth. A chain of 3 strands ain't easily broken. Mm-hmm. So the more the merrier. And your identity is something you need to be very intentional about, because us in the Black community, at least from what I've been able to experience recently, we like that, they should treat you however, but it don't matter what you got on. It don't matter what you do. Or even the worst is, I like to see people that just like to run around looking crazy as possible. They try to almost like offensively crazy. Like you in pajamas outside and stuff and just like offensively crazy. What outcomes do you expect, and that's how you carry yourself? You carry yourself in the way that you expect people to treat you. People, as bad as it is, like if your teeth are white and your hair is combed and you look like you showered, they smile more.
Mm-hmm. Makes a difference. Perception is reality.
Everywhere, anywhere, and nowhere. So yeah, be intentional, man, because you want something out of life, and make sure that whatever you want, like math, like algebra, there's something on the equal side of the equation. Now you need to fill in the X and Y's and to make that work, or don't, and fail like you've been doing. Figure it out.
I don't know where I read this or heard this, but it was something like, you know what the difference between a goal and a dream is? A plan. So you can have goals, and if you don't have a plan, it's just a wish. And people just be wishing their lives away. But if you got goals, then you got to have some plans. That means you got to put some work in. I keep emphasizing that. You got to put work in. That's just the way it is. You got to do the work to reap the reward.
What do we say? We got to debunk another saying.
What's that?
Good things come to those who wait.
Not all the time.
None of the time. You don't get nothing good for waiting. You have to have worked and did something to wait on.
I think it means to those that are patient and persistent. But it don't mean you're sitting there just not waiting on something to just fall from the sky. You got your hands open. Ain't nothing gonna fall in your hands if you just sitting there. Only thing gonna fall from the sky is bird droppings. If that's what you waiting on, you'll get it. Just sit there with your hands out. It's gonna fall on your head too.
In non-pastor terms, he said the only thing you gonna get by waiting is shit.
I didn't say that. Bird droppings. But yeah, no, you gotta. It don't work that way.
It don't work unless you work, and y'all just refuse to work.
No, you gotta be work. You gotta do the work.
Why do people refuse to work? Leroy, is that my bubble? Do people actually not refuse to work? And because I'm in my own bubble, it just looks like people refuse to work on themselves, in like the world, on anything. I think about it as simple as golf. Like I love golf, and I spend 3 hours a week in the sun at the driving range hitting a golf ball. Yet, when I find a tee for around the 18 holes, there's inevitably going to be somebody that ain't never seen no driving range that is going to do significantly worse than I'm doing and have the worst attitude about why they're doing so bad. And all I can think of is, do you practice? And one man said, oh, I don't go to the range and I'm not taking no lessons. I'm too old. I'm stuck in my ways. I almost wanted to just stop playing altogether. I didn't want to even be around him. I don't want to be around nobody that thinks like that. I definitely don't want to be around somebody that can vocalize a sentence that's stupid. I'm not going to practice or learn because I'm stuck in my ways. Get thee behind me, Satan.
But they're playing golf.
Wasting his time and mine. Leroy, this round of golf took 5 hours and 45 minutes because Leland, all the other three of us, playing normal. Leland, re-teeing, hitting it in the woods, chucking it 3-4 feet in front of him. Oh, he don't care. He's stuck in his ways.
Well, why is he playing?
Same reason most men play golf. Don't ruin our break from our lives because you don't even know how to get a good break from yours. That's my thing, is work, practice. I can't imagine all the people that want fancy things and don't have like either a tuition payment stub or a student loan balance.
How you gonna get it?
How you gonna get it? Not tuition as in you got to go to college to get something, but like you didn't like do an apprenticeship. You didn't like learn something. You didn't go to trade school. You didn't take a LinkedIn learning course. You didn't go to a boot camp. You didn't do a nothing. You don't have I applied and intended to get better at something and a certificate that says I succeeded at what I intended, but you expect the outcome. If you listening to this podcast and you 2 hours in and this go back to episode 1 from 2019 and then listen to all of those, just like until now, and then restart this from minute one, and then when you get back here, hopefully you're not that person no more. Cause
I never thought I was the smartest person in the room, but I thought I was okay, right? And I'm not the smartest person in the room. But when I was 17 years old, I knew I wanted to work at Lockheed. Because I knew Lockheed, I said, okay, I want to work at Lockheed. That was a place to be. Back then, it was a major company, and if that was kind of the goal. You go work for a company. And I wanted to work for Lockheed because I knew they made airplanes. They was a machine shop. They built the parts, and I knew that. So I said, I'm going to go to trade school. I'm going to take up machine shop course, and I'm going to go to work at Lockheed. I mean, I didn't know how that was going to pan out. I just knew if I was going to go to work at Lockheed, that was one way I could do it. So that's what I did. And I ended up there, and I ended up doing those things that I went to school to do, and other things as well. But the thing is, you gotta have a plan. That was my goal, and I had a plan. So a month after I graduated high school, a month later, I was in machine shop class. Everybody else playing and doing what they doing. I'm in school. I did that for 2 years. But you got to do that. But what I'm saying is this: you got to have a plan. Things don't just happen.
so you can probably quickly and pretty easily tell that I'm sitting here with my father because I was taught the same plan lesson, but I'm big on documentation. So I actually have my 5-year plans from 2015 and 2017. In 2015, I was 21 years old, and my goal was in that first year, I was going to get an internship. I graduated 2016, and then I was going to open a Roth IRA. When I was 22, I was going to graduate from college. I was going to get a job, and I was going to get my own place downtown in Atlanta. I was also going to save $1,000. That was my thing. I want to save $1,000. I don't know why, it was random. And when I was 23, I was just going to work my full-time job I got, enjoy life, travel the world, and save money. That was the plan. And then 24, I was going to continue my job with room for growth, live in Atlanta or change states, and then continue saving towards getting some real estate. And in 2019, I was going to start an LLC and start saving to buy my first condo and house and save $10,000. Guess what I did in 2019?
You did that.
Bought that condo.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2018, I continued that job with room for growth and got my PMP and jumped up to a whole new job. In 2017, that was when I worked for Athena. All I did was enjoy life and travel around. I traveled to 33 of the states for free.
Yeah.
All the Sky Miles, I went to Europe for free. All the Caribbean, traveled. And it's all because in 2015, I wrote out what I would do in them 5 years. And it's crazy how. I'll show you the screen. Every single one of those was accomplished and crossed out. And so what I do is, as I come up with new 5-year plans, just keep putting them here. So I got the one from 2017 where I needed that certification and a new car. Did both of those. Get my first bonus and pay off my Sally Mae loan. Did that at 24. Paid off one of the major student loans. 2019, new certification, $75,000 minimum salary. Done. If I didn't write it down, that's why when I think about what I'll do in these next 5 from 30 to 35, once you put it down, it usually get done for the most part. So just write them down. You just said your whole life was a plan that you made when you were 17, you sitting here in your 60s, and you can call and say, I'll never work again any second you want to. You could, right now in the middle of this podcast, pick up the phone and say, I retire, and be done.
Yep.
Because of a plan. And I think about how many people didn't have a plan and aren't at that place. Or there's people that had a plan. Life lifed.
Yeah.
Didn't make it to that place.
And
that's the other outcome.
Yeah.
You got to be content with whatever the outcome is because you did what you can do.
And that's the key. Do what you can do.
Control what you can control.
And the things you can't.
That got me into my bubble, because that's why when I think about your environment and what you consume, and think about, I'm going on 2 years no social media. And you know me, my spirit's so vexed, I gotta run out the room when the news come on. Because we say protect your peace. You can actually do that.
You can.
I'm the witness, is the fact that when I come around and everybody's so stressed, I'm like, what y'all stressed about? What's going on? Oh, the school shootings. Oh, I didn't know nothing about that. That's been happening. Oh, the police brutality. The same police brutality from 5 years ago? Oh, the same one? So the same stress y'all was stressed about in 2019, y'all stressed about in 2022. Y'all still stressed about that today in 2024? That don't seem... What did you say earlier? Like, if you do the same thing and expect a different outcome. So why we keep stressing over the stuff that we can't control? How many of y'all that spend time in negative mental spaces over politics have been to any, like, campaign meeting, any dinner? Like, think about it. Like, we ain't been to no dinners. We ain't been to no rally. They'll hold around the block, a community service, the Democrat. Man, all you do is complain when Biden come in town because the traffic gonna be bad. Oh, Trump gonna be in town. The traffic's horrible. Man, when did y'all go to like you can email them. I emailed my senator in Texas because I'm a tax-paying citizen. So I'm going to get benefits from my taxes. I don't think my letter had anything to do with it, but I haven't heard that train at that train station near my apartment since I sent that letter. Online, they said that they were already making all of the stations no noise zones. I think that my station might have been up next. In my mind, my letter got that accelerated. But think about how many people all these years have spent time complaining, talking, and you know what it took to write an email and a letter to my senator? Go to a website, send an email. They ain't stopped emailing me since.
Want money?
They email me for money. They email me for polls. They want to know what they should think about a stance or something. I'm like, hey, big dog, I just didn't want to hear that train no more. I don't care about whatever else you got going on.
And you can call them.
You can call them.
About it, you can call them.
So all of y'all that's so bent out of shape over politics, between January 6th, whenever that happened, until right now, when you're ready to lose friends over red versus blue again, what did you do with politics in those 4 years? That was over 1,200 days. Over 1,200 days, how many of those days did you spend doing anything political? Knowing that you spent 0 out of 1,200 days being political, why are you stressing over politics right now? And that's the same for anything across the board.
Yeah.
Anything. But also, it is dangerous if you got too many people like me that's just unchecked out.
Right.
You kind of need people checked in because... But who knows? I feel like what happened was, that's what happened in the 60s. With the Vietnam War and all them crazy hippies, it was too many people that checked out. And you saw what happened with the 70s and 80s trying to get everybody back in line. Honestly seems signal because it seems like a lot of people checking out again. This crypto with this just kind of new internet wave, we checking out of the system. These kids are checking out of college. They're checking out of career. They're checking out even trying. Like, they're all right just sitting at the parent spot and getting a Chick-fil-A and, just hanging,
Yeah. They checking out of all the institutions.
Yeah. You think about it, very similar to that hippie era is like, they got the long hair again.
Yes, they do.
The boys dressing like girls again.
Yes, they are.
Y'all always said that things come around.
What was it the preacher said? There's nothing new under the sun. Solomon.
Yep. That's good on the win. We'll do some wins and some wears because I think we touched on most of the whys.
Yeah.
And everything falls under intention, if we're going to be honest. Yeah. Count your cost, and your cost is like, what does it take? Or why am I doing this? Or what is it going to cost me to do it? Wins. We did the who's, didn't we? We did identity and persona. being intentional about that.
Yeah.
Change, growth, maturity, reinvention, discipline. Discipline is one of those things. A lot of things I just find it hard to communicate with people because, like, if you don't manage your time, if you're not a disciplined person, like, dog, we 30. If you not that, you not gonna be that. You don't want to be that. It might be in you, but it's so suppressed now. Like, what is it gonna take to get it out of you? And it's probably not in you. It might use it or lose it. You might have had discipline, but you just followed enough that good luck. Because sometimes the folly, you start doing a cost benefit analysis, if you don't remember the benefit of discipline, it'll never win over folly. Like, it'll never win. Doing right will never win over doing wrong if you're so unfamiliar with doing right that you don't remember the benefit of doing right.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
So if you too far gone, find God. They used to say if you're scared, go to church. Now they say if you're scared, get a dog. So yeah, now figure it out. Do whatever you got to do, but find some discipline, find some intention, and be a serious person. I like serious people. I'm extremely serious to be as unserious as I am. So, like, you can have fun. You don't have to be a bore. You don't have to be Buzz Killington. But, like, be serious about something. Like, have sense of humor while still being serious. So,
yeah.
All right. Let's see. Mental health, physical health. Again, big dog. If y'all listening to me and y'all don't know to, like, work out and eat good food, I'm pretty sure the internet has told y'all that enough. Leroy, you tell them.
Why me?
I don't know. You tell them. They'll listen to you, boy.
They won't listen to me.
Nobody
listens to me.
Nobody listens to it. When we get to talk about real stuff, it's hard to find the people that'll listen. And even if they listen, it's more about apply.
And it's something, you can know something is hurting you and you still do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not thinking that it might. It's already hurting you and you're still doing it. I don't know how you can get past that. I don't know how you get over that.
It depends on if it's chemical. Because if it's chemical in your brain and you just have like an addiction, you can't. But if it's not, if it's like pure willpower, and if it's just like, hey man, I know I shouldn't go to McDonald's right now. I got a salad in the fridge. But you get in your car and go to McDonald's because you're hungry. That's not addiction. They gifted.
But even when it's chemical, there's help for that as well.
Yes, and mental health, physical health, I think this is the whole of it. Go get the help.
Get the help.
You not a doctor. I don't care what WebMD says. I don't care what YouTube. I don't care what. Like, go get it. There's a doctor that, like, went to school and learned and got certified that can help you with whatever it is. Don't self-help yourself to death. Like we just tried to do right here. We just tried to diagnose me with dyslexia live on the podcast.
You did that. I didn't even know what you was talking about.
But you know how easy it is to do that? And now it can be so many people running around here talking about, I'm autistic. And then they say that on a broadcast to millions and millions of people. And then somebody asks, when were you diagnosed with autism?
Never.
And then they say, I'm self-diagnosed. And then when millions and millions of people say that's not how that works.
And people will diagnose you with things.
I'm tired of people in general because people do so much.
They will diagnose you with stuff.
They do so much.
And then the thing about it, they have you saying that about yourself. And I just listen to people and they just repeat what somebody told them. And that becomes their reality.
That becomes their perception. Because there is no my or your reality. Reality is reality. That's like my truth or your truth. No, it's just truth.
It's truth, yeah.
It's truth. Reality is reality.
And you hear that, my truth. What's
Satan,
that?
get thee behind me, Satan.
That is nothing, my truth. It ain't your truth.
It's confusion.
But people say that. I hear that all the time. My truth.
My favorite saying, two favorite sayings that will stop any argument, any discussion, anything. If you want to get out of something, it's real quick. The first one is so. When somebody say something, say so. what do you say to so?
You can't say
You
anything.
you can't say nothing
That
at all.
locks the door right there.
It locks the door. They can't try to convince you.
Mm-mm.
They can't give you no information. So, I don't care.
And what's the other one?
Get thee behind me, Satan.
I thought you was going to say, and?
Nah, so is encompassing. So, and you got to do the shrug with the so. So, and then stare at them. Make them feel stupid.
So if you want to get out of an argument or any discussion, shrug your shoulders and say, so.
And then just stare at them.
And stare at them.
Until they get themselves out of that discussion you didn't want to be a part of. Because what can they do except just keep talking and ignore that you said so? And at that point, they're talking to themselves, so you really don't have to be engaged no more. I'm giving y'all a lot of tips to not interact with people in a healthy way. So don't say so to people. Do the right thing. This is supposed to be Proverbs and wisdom.
Well, it depends, because sometimes people will just hold you captive with foolishness. And then they just want to talk.
People want to talk so much.
And they just want to take your time. And then I heard a preacher say this, and I never forget it. He said, I don't mind a person talking if they saying something. And that made a lot of sense to me. Because some people just be talking just to be talking.
What will I benefit from knowing what you're saying to me after I leave this conversation? If it's going to be in one ear and out the other, like, what's the point of it going in the ear? Leave me alone with nonsense almost.
And I hate being held captive.
That's like I was saying earlier. That's why same way I don't do notifications, I don't do phone calls. And don't send me an audio message, because what that means is if I was listening to something on YouTube, if I was listening to music, if I was talking to someone, if I was working and multitasking, I can read your text and do what I was doing. Your audio message means you have now taken all of my attention hostage. I can't listen to something else. I can't multitask. I have to listen to you for how many ever seconds or minutes say what you were saying. I click right on that transcript button and read the text of that audio message and respond to that. And somebody texted me the other day. She was like, I bet you don't even listen to these, do you? You probably read them. I said, you know it? Like, that's crazy to me. If you can't call me and hold me hostage for 5, 10, 15 minutes, why would you be able to just like audio text me hostage for intervals? Because then you get in a conversation, they're going to send a 17-minute message. You're going to send something back, they're going to send a 30 seconds or 17-second message. You're going to send something back, they're going to send a 30-second. They're going to send an hour. Man, you might have been sat here and listening to them talk messages to you for 15 minutes that you can't never get back. I could have been on my last 30 minutes of life, and I just spent them listening to your audio text message. It's selfish. I'm going to haunt you. So if you want to contact me, the best way would be text me, email me, call my mama and tell her to text me whatever you was going to talk to me about. Them your 3 ways to get in contact with me. Don't call my phone unless it's so time sensitive that you're going to call me 2-3 times to bypass do not disturb. And then if it's not that time sensitive to me, I'm probably going to block you. My block list is long because I don't want to change my number. And to protect your peace, you can either keep changing numbers or you can just block people. Protect your peace with Proverbs. All right. Let's wrap it up. Where are we at? We didn't do the wins. We did physical health, mental health. Leroy said, eat right and go get help from professionals. Go see your doctor. Go see your dentist. Please floss. And brush your tongue, too. There's a lot of bacteria on there. And brush your teeth, too, while you're at it. I know a lot of y'all ain't brushing at night before you go to bed. You think nobody watching. God's watching. Your dentist is watching.
Your dentist is not watching.
Your dentist is watching when you go to... You're right.
But they'll know when you get there.
They don't get there. So you're right. The dentist is not watching. Hey, man. Opt for the eye and dental insurance. Don't just do health. You need vision. Y'all can't see. And y'all backing into people's cars. And y'all hitting people on the highways and just doing things because you're not seeing properly. I know you had 20/20 when you was 18. Go to the eye doctor. You
didn't just call his name out.
You know what I'm talking
about.
He won't go. Talking about, I got 20/20. I know I got 20/20. He see the rings around the lights at night. He said he can't drive at night because he can't see. Talking about he got 20/20 vision. That's what happens. That's why we're back to debunking sayings. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Numbers lie. Numbers lie every day. You want to know how a number lies? I'm going to keep it real simple with you. I polled 10 people. Let's say that 9 out of 10 of them said yes. I can say 90% said yes. I can then throw away 4 of those. I can throw away 5 of those answers and only keep the 5 people that said yes. 5 out of 5 said yes. 100% said yes. I didn't lie. I just threw away some of the answers. So out of the poll that I'm reporting to you, 100% of the people said yes. That's not a lie. The previous poll, 90% said yes. That's not a lie either. 100% is a lie of the original poll. So if somebody takes that 100% to no one thinks opposite, no, there was somebody that thought opposite. We just didn't include them in this data. Numbers lie. Do not look at or listen to numbers at face value. They all have context and a story behind them. Know the context. What was that about?
You were just talking about mental health, physical health. Take care of those things.
And brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth, floss, brush your tongue.
That's really the main subject is brush your teeth. Because I know a lot of people just ain't doing that, and it's so easy. It's like 60 seconds. That's one of those things like make your bed. Like you always said, the first thing you do when you wake up, make the bed. And I've known people that just don't make the bed. Or I'm going to get to it. I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do whatever. That's one of my pet peeves too. When you wake up, go brush your teeth. I know you're going to drink some coffee. I know you're going to eat something. I know you're going to do some stuff that you going to have to brush your teeth afterwards. You know what you can do? Brush your teeth twice.
Yeah.
I hate a morning mush mouth. Do not wake up singeing my silk pillowcases with your dragon breath. Please go brush your teeth. You can get back in bed. Someone comment and let me know. Can you not fall asleep after you brush your teeth in the morning? If that's the thing, I never fall back asleep after I wake up. So if that's the reason, I might keep some Tic Tacs by the bed. But if not, please just brush your teeth. Okay, that tangent. Let's see. We can wrap this up with when. Okay, we already talked about time management. The back end of time management is probably the delayed gratification. Right in line with planning, honestly. What you do today doesn't pay till later. The $200 or the $20 that dad put in his 401k at 18 grows into the plant of a 401k at 62. So don't think that because you put in them $20, $50, $200 into the accounts that you're supposed to have a Bentley. Your Bentley is when you 70, and you sold the house and then downsized into the senior community, and now you're sitting on a bunch of cash that was tied up in assets for most of your life. That's when I saw a post that said the average Porsche 911 owner is 56 years old. And the comment was like a little meme, and it was like, me wanting the things that 50-year-olds have in my 20s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what the problem is with delayed gratification, is realize that, yes, the type of life you can scrape together, you're not going to be able to do it right now. So just sit tight, do it right later. Just delayed gratification. The best one is the idea of the Corvette. Because I could have at any point in time just ordered a Corvette, found a Corvette for sale on a lot somewhere for about half the price of a 911. But you delay the gratification and you see Corvettes around, but you don't see the one that you had to wait on. Or the Corvettes have depreciated. Now they're sitting on the lots that they can't even really sell them versus the ones that they can't keep past the order. Mm-hmm. You're on a wait list to order them. So delay, don't get easy now when you can get hard later. Pause.
All right. Lord have mercy.
Had to change our vocabulary there.
Fix that up.
Don't do the easy thing now when you can get the better thing later. There we go.
Much better.
Woo. Okay. You got anything for delayed gratification?
No, it's just important that you got to find a way to enjoy the journey too. You gotta appreciate it, and things when you realize one of the things you said that you realize that this could be your last day, week, or 30 minutes, whatever. So enjoy life as you're going. Don't not have goals and plans. Do that, but don't. You gotta enjoy the journey. Like don't just focus on the destination. Enjoy the journey because there's gonna be some nice things some memories that you're gonna have along the journey. You know, I think about that a lot of times on those trips we used to take.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing, yeah, okay, say the one we was going to, where did we go?
Cooperstown?
No, I was thinking about when we went. Yeah, Cooperstown is one. That's where we were going. But the journey there were so many moments.
Baltimore. I remember. That's what I remember. Because when I was thinking to myself, and I was young, I was like, I've been in Baltimore. I've seen Baltimore. Because when am I ever going to Baltimore again? But we was able to along the way to where we was going in New York, getting hit by that taxi.
Yep. Yep.
The memories is on the way and on the way back, not just at the place.
Not there and then back home.
Mm-hmm.
So even with your what you say, delayed gratification, enjoy some things as you're going along. Enjoy the journey, and then you'll still appreciate.
I think about that because I always take the analogy of like somebody that doesn't do until they can do what they want to do. So you don't do nothing. Let's say that until I could buy a Porsche 911, I wouldn't have bought a Corvette, I wouldn't have bought a Mustang, I wouldn't have bought an AMG, I wouldn't have bought a Jeep, I wouldn't have done all these things. And then maybe you do get a Porsche 911. What all did you not do, experience, get, enjoy on the way to there? So the destination, if it's just this thing, you won't even enjoy the wins getting there. And you wouldn't be able to do it. If I went into Porsche with $70,000, wanted to buy a $150,000 car, and I had never had a car loan before, they laughed me out the building. No matter how much cash you got. They say, go find that other 80 and then we'll give you the car. Because they say, we can't trust that you can make a payment. You've never made a payment before. Mm-hmm. Even like this one, they're like, hey, we could have gave you 2 more points on the interest rate, but you've never had a car payment above this level before. So, like, your next one, we'll be able to actually give you so much more payment and you'll get the rate because you've done this now. And like having a premium credit on your report, little things like that if you don't do the journey, the destination might not even, you don't get it.
Yeah.
What do you say to what you call it? All of them that complained in the desert, he said, not a one of y'all gonna see the promised land.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't enjoy this journey. Y'all didn't enjoy the quail. Y'all didn't enjoy the manna. Y'all didn't enjoy the Red Sea parting. Y'all didn't enjoy plundering Egypt for all their gold without a sword in your hand. Y'all didn't enjoy none of this. Y'all complained, so y'all don't get no promised land. Versus the ones that did the journey and prepared for the battles and praised God. And yeah, y'all two with the right heart can walk into it. But the rest of y'all, good luck.
Yeah.
Well, right now, looking at this screen, it says 2 hours, 49 minutes, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45 seconds. I think that this is a good place to wrap up this episode. I will say, so I've listened to and I've watched the Joe Budden podcast. To know that twice a week, they put out a 3-hour and 30-minute podcast means they sat and recorded for 5-6 hours. And to also know that on their Patreons, depending on what tier you are, they sometimes put out another 2-hour episode a week, or sometimes a 2-hour and a 1-hour episode a week. They probably sit and record for 8 to 10 hours on the days they record that podcast. And they deserve any penny that they charge people for their product, because this is a job. Even these little 3 hours right here. And we didn't even get through. We still got another episode to do. We just did the 30 for 30. I think whatever we did and however long this podcast episode ends up being is the wisdom and the Proverbs aspect of it. So I go back home Sunday. If we can find some time tomorrow or tonight, whenever, we might can do a more personal just kind of talking and chopping it up on some of the other topics. But we touched everything we need to touch on. Thinking about me, and I'm 30, turning 31 next month. Thinking about what did I learn in the first 30 years, and learned a lot, but there are some key themes and key things that I think that if you were to just focus your attention on, you can pick one or a few of these topics to really just dive into and make your life better. There's, of course, Proverbs, and there are resources and books and videos and everything you can do, but the starting point is here in this conversation. So, as an outline for it, we look at the who. Who are you? Your physical health, your mental health, your identity, your persona, how you change, how you grow, how you mature, and reinvent yourself as you go through the different stages of life, and the discipline you have to see it through. Because you make a plan, you have to work through that plan. The what. What do you do with who you are? That's your career, your entrepreneurship, your assets, liabilities, the risks you take. What do you invest in? Is it real estate? Is it 401k? What do you read? How are you training your mind? Where's your attention going? What you spend on? Is it for quality of life? Is it for status? Is it for power? What's your intention behind how you manage your money? And then the when. So when do these things happen? Delayed gratification. Warren Buffett, most of his net worth came after he was 60 years old, I want to believe. Might be 50, I don't know the number. Google it. I'm not Google. Luckily, we all have it on our phones. So that means he spent a lot of years not as rich as he did super rich. And I'd imagine that that's the story of most people. When you think about most people, a lot of people get their wealth from things like real estate. Real estate that has been used by family and then gets passed to them that can get liquidated to then give them wealth to reinvest in other aspects. Or real estate that they invest in that maybe they get help on. Like wealth comes from a long-term place. It's what your grandparents did to set up things for you. Your parents did to set up for your kids. What you'll do to hopefully be setting up for the next generations. We're 30 now, so, and I keep saying that because I know that it's my friends, my age group, that'll likely get this. We don't really need whatever our parents have to give to us. You think about it. We have our jobs, we have our 401ks, we have homes, we have a good life. That's for our kids. Most of us have living grandparents. We don't need what they have for us. Our parents don't need what they have for them. This is generational wealth, and I know it's a buzzword, but we're living in it. We're literally in it right now. You're taking care of generations that aren't just you. A lot of people are trying to put food on the table, keep a light on in the house for them. We're not as concerned with those things, and even as we are, we're still taking some of our emotional and mental capacity to care for the next generations. The stocks you buy are not for you to buy a Tesla. It's for your kids to be able to buy a Tesla. It's not for you when you buy a home and you pay this 2.9% mortgage rate or this new 6% mortgage rate that's out. That's not for you to sell that home and then get $300,000. Like, maybe your kids rent that home out. Maybe you add that to the portfolio. Maybe you just got to think more long term, and delayed gratification is the right way to look at it because you're sitting under shade that was a seed planted many generations ago. So the seeds you're planting are for generations way beyond you. If you're expecting shade from your seeds, you gifted. So next is the where. Circumstances, outliers, environment. We didn't talk about this too much. I will recommend the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. We talked about it at the beginning of the episode, but Bill Gates had access to a supercomputer, the type that were only available at MIT in middle school. The parents of his neighborhood, of his public school district, came together and said, this is a new technology, our kids need this. Therefore, if Bill Gates would have been one zip code over, he wouldn't have had access to that computer. Would we have Microsoft? Everywhere down the line throughout all of history, that lines up. So everything is like woven together. In the universe, it all works. Everything is according to a plan, to a will. And what you have access to is exactly what you were supposed to have access to. What you're doing, what you can see, what you have is exactly what it was supposed to be. And what other people do have and can see don't have nothing to do with you. So keep your eyes on your own lane, on your own test. Worry about your own grades. Focus on your race. And if you're looking at everybody else, You'll run like the American relay team that can't pass a baton because they focused on the other teams. Run like the Jamaicans that don't care about them slow Americans behind them. Okay. Observation awareness. Just be aware of your surroundings and be aware of you. Spend a little bit of time reflecting on life. Birds of a feather flock together. Don't hang with losers or else you'll be a loser. And don't try to hang with winners if you are a loser. Learn to win first because you will stick out like a sore thumb. And realistically, winners don't want to keep a bunch of losers around. So start winning first and then go find some winners. Why? That's the whole thing. Intention. Some is fueled by regret. Hopefully it's not fueled by ego and seeking power or status. But you should seek some type of influence to be a positive influence to those around you. Not an influencer, because that's gifted. To just influence people to buy things that aren't quality products because people pay you to sell products. That's what an influencer is. You don't even believe in quality if you're influencing others to do low quality. So just be better than that. Authenticity. Also be authentic. Maybe you are just authentically a lower quality person. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like you just don't care. So don't try to be high class if you don't care about it. Everybody don't wear Louis Vuitton. Don't go chase a waterfall. Stick to the rivers and lakes that you used to. And also, stick to the rivers and lakes you used to. Maybe it is Louis V and Gucci. Everyone doesn't get Hermes, and everyone doesn't need like Pucci or Manolo. You can't manage that. You don't even know where to get that service at. You don't know how to ensure certain things. So like, stick to the Rolexes. Don't go try to get an AP. You just don't want those problems. There is obtain, there is sustain, and there is maintain. So you can obtain a lot of things. You can't sustain it and like keep it. And then you definitely can't maintain what you can't sustain. So stay in your lane. It's a whole lot of rhyme in there on accident. Humility, be humble. We all suck. Just accept it. We're all great and we're all very bad. So don't think you're too good or too bad for anything. Mentorship is a personal connection. Leadership is just a role in what naturally happens. And do everything with love. And it's not just romantic love. A lot of y'all feel a lack in life because of marriage or girlfriend, boyfriend, but you have strong friendships around you. And some of y'all have nothing but strong friendships and ain't had a romantic bone in your body touched for 6-7 years. Please get help. Find a therapist. It needs to be balanced in everything. So do it with love, do it with intention, and do it with help. Leroy, any closing words for the people?
No, you've pretty well said it. I agree with all that you said, and they would do well to take heed to it, at least listen to it and think about it, because that's some very powerful things you've shared in these few minutes.
That's crazy how we've been recording a list of topics for 3 hours, and then you said I shared it powerfully in 3 minutes.
Because it was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just general, it was very focused.
It's a flow.
And very intentional.
Who, what, when, where, why, and then how. That's what they teach us in school. That's how you approach maybe literature. Like when you write a story or who, what, when, where, how. I don't know where, but that sticks with me. And so you always start with the why, which is the last in theirs. But you start with the why and then go to the top. So why? Why are we doing this? Okay, who's doing it? What are they doing? When are they doing it? Where are they doing it? How are they doing it? How is do it right. If I can leave you with anything, just do things right. You do it right the first time so that you don't have a second time. You just do the best you can. And if you don't get the best outcome, at least you gave the best effort. You'd hate to get a bad outcome knowing you gave a bad effort.
Yes.
So do your
Absolutely.
best and let God take care of the rest. I think that's about all I got for him, Dad.
All right.
Well, A Product of Proverbs. We'll see y'all when we see y'all. Peace.